Welcome, everyone. This is your friend, the DN What If, here with another exciting fanfiction. Today, we're diving into the story of what if Deku became the last demon slayer? If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fanfiction content just like this. Now, let's get started with the fanfic. Okay, let's try this one more time. My fanfics got removed from this site before because someone reported me for stealing other works and claiming it as my own. This fanfic is mine. I just repost it to other websites, so if you are interested in reading more chapters, go check out the other websites, like Wattpad and Fanfic. Chapter 1A Heroes Run. Izuku Midoriya was reminded that this world was not fair, that not all men are created equal. It was a normal day for a 12-year-old. Izuku got out of bed, went to school, and tried to keep his head down so no one would notice him, especially the explosive star of his school, Katsuki Bakugo. He was by no means proper hero material, just a kid who got lucky and born with an incredible quirk that made everyone around him feed his ego. Though after school Izuku could work on his hero journals and find hero activity around town. Today was good. He was able to see the new hero Hawks in action taking on a man who was a giant puffer fish. Izuku was amazed at how Hawks was able to maneuver around puffer spikes. Izuku was on his way a few blocks down where he heard Death Ams was fighting a bear man. When he heard something near the park. "What did you think you were better than me?" screamed the master of ego, Katsuki Bakugo. Izuku saw him and his cronies standing above a group of kids from another school in the middle of the park. "Bakugo, stop!" yelled Izuku, earning the explosive user's glare. "I'm sorry, did you say something, Deku?" said Bakugo, sporting a mad grin at seeing his favorite punching bag. Izuku began sweating. "You can't beat up people, Kachin, it isn't becoming of a hero," he said nervously while trying to look for a way out of the situation. Bakugo began to march straight up to Izuku while a sinking feeling began to take a hold of him as he knew what was about to come next. Izuku began to block out Bakugo rant about him, just showing so how much better he was. Izuku had heard all of this before he had grown up with Bakugo. All the way from when they were friends until now. Izuku didn't try anything as he already knew that the cronies had already blocked his escape. Like they did whenever someone tried to pick a fight with Bakugo. "Well, aren't you gonna say something, you DMN nerd?" Well, Death. Whether it was the constant taunts or if it was Izuku knowing nothing could change what was about to happen. Izuku looked back at Bakugo with a hard glare and calmly stated, "You will never be a hero, not because you're weak but because no one will accept a hero who acts like you." This caught everyone by surprise, and the glare just made Bakugo's blood boil to a point Izuku could say that was the worst beating he had ever received from Bakugo. He eventually left with cronies after leaving Izuku on the ground. Angered that Izuku would ever say someone as great as him would never be a hero. "I'll show that useless nerd when I become the #1 hero. He'll see when everyone sees how great I am," thought Bakugo as he left Izuku on the ground. Izuku laid there on the ground for what felt like hours, wondering what he was going to do. "If I don't stand up to him, how am I going to be a hero? Maybe I should just give up," he thought. "These are some good notes." Thought Izuku as he looked up and saw someone sitting near him reading his notes. Izuku slowly got up and got a better look at the newcomer. It was a man with blackish burgundy hair with a scar on the left side of his forehead with Hanafuda ear rings on his ears. He was dressed old-fashioned, real old-fashioned, in a green checkered haori with some kind of uniform underneath. Izuku could tell he was quite athletic, maybe a hero in training perhaps. Who are you?" "Oh, I'm sorry, I saw you laying there while I was out for a walk. When I came to see if you were okay, I saw your notes here on the ground next to you and couldn't help myself. These are fantastic, you got some great analytical skills and a good pair of eyes," the man said with a sunny smile. For a moment Izuku could have sworn he was on a clear lake. When the man smiled, it was so honest and pure. Thanks, mister," said Izuku as he got and started to pick up his things. "I should be going now. You want to be a hero, don't you?" Izuku turned to see the man looking at him. It wasn't a cold glare, it was as if the man was waiting for Izuku to do something. But he wasn't sure what. "Yes, more than anything," he stated with an amount of confidence that even surprised him. "You want fame and fortune?" "No, I want to save people. I want to save people," with a smile on my face like All Might. Even though he had just been beaten, Izuku became more determined than ever to be a hero. Do you think you can be a hero as you are now? Reality was cruel. Izuku knew that he was born quirkless and was too weak to even stand up to someone he thought of as a friend. Some people are more lucky than others, said the man as he stood up. Some people are born with people who are willing to train them or with talent that allows them to excel more than others, or in that boy's case he was born with a great quirk. Though it definitely hasn't done him any good for personality, that for sure. Wait, you saw that? Izuku had just assumed that he came after. To close such gaps, people need the drive and determination to become better despite their circumstances. The man bent down a little to look Izuku in the eyes. Do you think you have what it takes to pursue your dreams? Izuku looked down for a moment before meeting the man's eyes again. As I am right now, I can't, but that won't stop me. I will work hard and I will get strong enough so I can save people with a smile on my face. The man gave another sunny smile. Good answer. Then we will begin right now. What? There's no better time to start than the present, the man said as he took a few steps away before stopping and taking a deep breath. A good run should be a good start for your training. Training? Izuku was confused. Even though he had just met this man, he was slowly jogging after him. He didn't know why, but for some reason he could tell this man honest and trustworthy, and Izuku couldn't argue. If he wanted to pursue his dreams, he needed to start training to cover the gap. Izuku then quickly caught up to the man. What are you gonna train me? Huff. Who are you? I guess you could say a hero of old. Pay attention, use your eyes and pay attention to my breathing. Focus on the breathing and try to mimic it. Izuku was confused and ready to call it quits until he tried to breathe like the man. Lucky it was still early spring and he could see the man's breath in the chilled air. Izuku didn't know what he expected, but when he tried to breathe like the man, running became easier. Incredible, so that he felt like he could have run for hours, maybe even days. They both kept running for a while. Izuku didn't know he had lost track of time and just tried to keep up the breathing technique. Before he knew it, they came to the bottom of the mountain. When they stopped, Izuku was huffing and puffing and felt like he would collapse at any moment, but when he looked over at the man, he saw that he was perfectly fine, as if their massive run was nothing more than a walk down a city block. If anything, this just made Izuku even more curious about this mysterious man. Hey, huff your huff quirk dash. Oh, I don't have a quirk. Izuku shot up, looking at the man in shock and awe. They were at the bottom of a mountain. They ran all the way here from a city park in Mustafu, which was in the middle of the city, and Mustafu wasn't anywhere close to a mountain. They must have ran 20 miles to get here. Wait a minute, we're miles away from the city. We ran here. I ran here. Izuku was surprised at his own sudden realization on how far he just ran, but the man in front looked like he made this run daily. Now Izuku was sure he could learn something incredible from this man, maybe even something that could make up for his lack of a quirk. He now saw this man as his ticket to become a hero. Over here, said the man as he walked to what looked like a small shack. You can put your backpack in here. What exactly are we doing now? Said Izuku as he slowly made his way to the shack before the man put his hand up, signaling for Izuku to stop. This, in a way you can say, is the point of no return. If you put your bags down and follow me up this mountain, you will begin a test that will push you to your limits, and I warn you, this test can be fatal and there is a very high chance you will get hurt. The man paused for a moment to let his words sink in, though to his surprise the boy in front of him had a determined look. Though if you pass this test you will be trained and will be one step closer to becoming a hero. Do you accept this challenge? Izuku's look of determination didn't falter. He walked towards the small shack and put his bag inside. I accept your challenge. Then follow me, said the man as he began to walk up the mountain. I'll admit I'm a bit surprised at how little hesitation you had to accept this test. Well, it's like you said, I need to be ready to put my life on the line if I want to be a hero, and I'm already rather behind than a lot of kids my age, so I need to work several times harder to make up for it. Is that all? No, I need to do this. I need to prove to myself that I can become a hero, and in less than a day you have already taught me so much. That breathing technique alone will help a lot during long nights while I'm on patrol. That's a good one to remember, but you're going to need a bit more to pass this test. You're going to need to use everything I've told you today and everything you've learned from those heroes and what you've gained from that explosive boy from earlier. Izuku was a bit confused about what he had gained from Bakugo that could help him. He was about to ask when he noticed that the fog began to cover that mountain and air was beginning to get real thin. It was getting hard to breathe. Do not worry, I used to walk up this mountain daily as part of my training when I was your age. I know this place by heart. The man stopped dead in his tracks. Prepare yourself, Izuku Midoriya, your test is about to begin. Right, wait, when did I tell you my name now that I think about it? We never did introduce ourselves, how do you know my name? The man ignored Izuku's question. We are near the top of MT Sagiri to pass this test. Izuku, your goal will be to get back down to the bottom of the mountain before sunrise. If you do this then you pass. Good luck, said the man before he was enveloped by the fog and disappeared. Wait, he said at sunrise. What time is it? Izuku yelled before turning around and rushing down the mountain. Mom is going to freak out when she was all Izuku could say before he felt his foot hit a wire, and by the time he processed the wire a small boulder was launched right at him. Izuku was able to dodge the boulder. Click. Izuku hit the ground as several shurikens impaled the tree right behind him. He isn't pulling his punches, I could really die here. How am I supposed to get out of this? The fog is so thick I can only see a few feet in front of me. That's when the man's words echoed in his head. All the things I've learned. Calm down, Izuku, try breathing. Once Izuku calmed down a little, he took a few steps down the mountain. Then he noticed how odd the ground was in front of him. He kicked a rock only for it to fall into a pitfall. I was lucky I was able to notice that. Wait a minute. Izuku brought a hand to his face. My eyes, he mentioned how well I notice details. I just need to look out for anything that's too out of place, he thought as he moved around the pitfall. But if I keep going at this pace, I'll never make it down in time. Izuku sprinted down the mountain. A hero wouldn't hesitate. Hesitating could cost lives and even cost me my own life. He thought as he dodged another rock and then jumped over a wire. My reflexes are better than I thought. When could I react so quickly? So this is what he meant by Kacchan giving me something. I've been dodging Kacchan for so long, my reflexes are better than most. Izuku's confidence grew as he sidestepped a group of blades. All right, let's do this. Izuku was able to make it to the bottom of the mountain as the glow of the sun was on the horizon. He was so exhausted he could tell he was going to lose consciousness. He was able to make it to the walls of the shack where he put his bag. He leaned against the wall and slowly slid down the side. He was covered from head to toe with dirt and small wounds all over his body. He had aches and pains that he knew would last days before he would be able to move properly again. You made congrats. Izuku's vision was becoming spotty. He could barely make out the man as he walked towards him. Don't worry, none of your wounds are life-threatening and I have a friend that can fix you right up. The man kneeled down to take a closer look at Izuku. I'm sorry, nowadays such form of training wouldn't be accepted. But if you're going to become strong enough to reach your goal of becoming a pro hero, then I'm afraid this was necessary. Are you going to train me? Izuku was slightly afraid of his answer. He would like a good rest before he tried anything else. Though his worries washed away as he saw the man have such a sad look in his eyes. Don't worry, you will be trained, but not by me. This was definitely a confusing day for Izuku. Looking back, he was beginning to wonder if he was sane following this man. Do not worry, Izuku, you are quite sane. What? And no, I'm not reading your mind. This was the only way I could help you. For you see, I don't have long for this world. Izuku could only stare at this man. He may not have known him for a very long, but even he could tell this day has changed his life for the better. He could actually see himself becoming stronger. He could see himself standing up to Bakugo. He could see himself becoming a hero. You're dying. The man gave Izuku a bright sunny smile before slowly taking his Hanafuda earrings off before placing them into Izuku's hands. I can tell you are the right choice with these. There is no way he'll say no to training you. Don't give up. Follow your dreams. Become a hero. I know you can. Before the man could stand, Izuku grabbed his arm with his open hand. Wait, what's your name? Tejiro, said a voice, but it came from neither the man nor from Izuku. Izuku looked to see a pale teenage boy in a white kimono staring in shock at the man in green. Hello Yashiro, it's good to see you again. Tanjiro, Kamadu Tanjiro. The pale boy visible shaking. Tanjiro, Izuku repeated. Yes, that is my name, said the now-named Tanjiro before turning to Yashiro. Yashiro, I would like to watch over this boy and train him. He wishes to be a pro hero someday, so please train him well. Izuku knew now he was losing his battle to stay awake because Tanjiro looked like he was slowly fading away. Tanjiro, what's going on? Don't worry, Izuku, you're in great hands. I trust Yashiro with my life. He will make you into a pillar in no time. He said this when he suddenly became see-through. And Yashiro, this boy is very talented, he will make a fine warrior someday. Izuku could no longer see Tanjiro, and before he lost consciousness, Tanjiro said one last thing to him. Welcome to the Demon Slayer Corporation. Next time. A sunny dream. If you want to read this one right now, check out my username on some of the other fanfic websites. Chapter 2, A Sunny Dream. Izuku didn't know how but found himself in total darkness. He couldn't see anything or hear anything. It was as if all of his senses were somehow being numbed. All Izuku could do was keep walking, and he did until he saw something in the far distance. A light that seemed to be far away. As Izuku walked closer to the light, he began to hear a rhythm of a drum that slowly got louder as he got closer to the light. Soon he could feel the light breeze on his skin and could smell something burning. He could even somehow taste the light itself. Before Izuku could think of how he knew that what he was tasting was the light, he finally got close enough to see what it was. It was a masked man dancing in a circle of torches. The dance mesmerized Izuku. As the man continued to dance, Izuku could see the beauty of his movements. He could smell the scent of the dance, feel the breeze dance was making on his skin. He could hear the rhythm of the movements and even taste it as if Izuku was the one that was dancing. Flickering at the edge of Izuku's vision made Izuku look away from the man to see another circle of touches exactly the same as the other one. Izuku walked into the new circle as he too wanted to try the dance he saw. Izuku watched the man for a moment before trying his best to mimic the man's moves. Izuku fumbled a bit from either moving out of sync or also trying to simultaneously try to dance and watch at the same time. Though after a few tries he began to get the hang of it. As Izuku began to dance, his movements became more fluid and he began to tune the other dancer out. He continued this, and as he did he could feel his senses grow stronger with each movement he made until the world became clear. The world was no longer dark as he could see the mountains around him, hear the animals, smell the grass, feel each movement in the air, and taste the morning air. He didn't dare stop yet. He kept moving, increasing his pace until it seemed that the world was see-through, not until each breath looked as solid as a rock. Before Izuku realized his body was on fire, though not regular fire. It was as if Izuku's body was the sun itself. He was filling the world with light so bright he was shining more than the sun. Then he suddenly realized he actually stopped dancing. He looked around a bit and then noticed the man had stopped dancing himself and was looking right at him. Did I do this? The man brought his hand to the mask. Yes, you did, Izuku, revealing himself to be Tanjiro. Tanjiro, Izuku stood there for a moment, not really sure what to say. He was angry at him for the mountain death traps and for being way too cryptic than was necessary. But he was thankful as well. He didn't know exactly why, but he knew he had just experienced something no one else has and that this experience will be the key for him moving forward. So he decided to ask the only thing that he could think of. Why show me of all people this? Tanjiro gave him a look of confusion. I'm nobody, I'm not strong, I'm not fast, and I don't have a quirk. So why do this for me? Izuku, do you really think anyone can do what you just did? I'll admit some people could do this, but it would take years, maybe even decades to do this with serious dedication, and you were able to pull it off in one evening. You were able to shine as bright as the sun, and you can do that for the whole world to see. What did I just do exactly? Was it a quirk of some kind? Cause all of my senses just became heightened to the point I could tell what was inside things very far away, and that alone could have several applications for search and rescue or even training, and by that extension it could even help in several fights or even mumble. As Izuku carried on, Tanjiro could only smile at the boy who would change the world. I'm sorry, I wish I could tell you more about the breath of sun and the other breathing styles. Tanjiro raised his hand to stop Izuku from asking why. I can't help you though, Yashiro can. He'll explain and answer all of your questions and I just hope he has matured more than how I had left all those years ago. Though I don't know if he has moved on from Tamayo yet. Tamayo? The loved one he had lost so long ago. Tanjiro said with a sad face. She was a good friend. Izuku was going to say his condolences, though Tanjiro cut him off with a sunny smile. Either way, I wish you luck in your journey. Izuku, may your dreams bring you great joy. It's time to wake up. Izuku opened his eyes and realized something immediately. This wasn't his bed. As Izuku got up, he also felt how sore his body was and that someone changed his clothes for him, as he was wearing a light green sleeping robe. He looked around and saw what he assumed was the inside of an old-fashioned Japanese house. Seeing no point in just laying there, Izuku got up and made his way to the door. As he exited the room, he came face to face with a girl. She had dark hair and a ponytail. She had brown eyes and looked, or as Izuku would guess, was a few years older than him, so maybe around 17 or 18 years old. She was wearing a purple flower pattern kimono and was holding a tray with a tea kettle. "Ah, you're awake. My master has been wondering when you would wake up," she said in a neutral tone. Izuku had no idea how to respond, since no girl had ever really talked to him before and he didn't know what to do. "Please follow me," was all she said as she passed him and continued down the hall. Izuku, not knowing what else to do, decided to follow her. They made their way to an above-average living room area that opened up looking down the mountain. In the center of the room sat the pale boy in the white kimono that Izuku remembered before he had lost consciousness. He was currently sitting at a small table looking at a tablet. As they entered, the boy looked up to see them. "You're awake, that's good. My name is Yashiro. Please have a seat, we have much to discuss." "Oh, okay," as Izuku sat across from Yashiro, not really knowing what he had gotten himself into. They sat in silence for a moment as they looked at each other, wondering what to expect from the other, as the girl began to serve them both tea. Izuku thanked the girl as he began to drink the tea. "I have many questions for you, young man, but the first would be, who are you?" Yashiro said, breaking the silence. "Oh, my name is Izuku Midoriya. Thank you for taking care of me while I was out of it." "Yes, speaking of you collapsing at the bottom of the mountain, what were you doing there and why did you have these?" he said, putting the Hanafuda earrings on the table. "Oh, Mr. Tanjiro gave me those." Yushio and the girl froze in place with a look of shock on their face as the room grew uncomfortable as the silence grew. The girl recovered first as her shock turned to anger as a knife suddenly appeared in her hand. "Don't play with us, boy. Do you really take us for fools?" she yelled, pointing the blade at Izuku. "Whoa, wait, I'm telling the truth, he saw him too," pointing to Yashiro. "Tomo, stop and put that knife down right now. He is our guest until I say otherwise." "Yes, master," she said, suddenly putting the knife down on the table, losing all of her anger. Yashiro gave her a look to make sure she wouldn't do anything before looking at a frightened Izuku. "I apologize for Tomo. She can jump the gun at times, and yes, I saw what I saw when I found you, but I would like you to tell your part. Now how about you explain everything from the beginning?" Izuku then began to explain everything from how he first met Tanjiro to his gauntlet of death down the mountain. He even told them about his dream he had. He had no idea how they were going to react by the end of his tale. Izuku could tell they were processing this information differently. Tomo gave a look at Izuku that said she didn't believe him, but she gave Yashiro a look of concern as he was thinking very deeply about this information. Yashiro was in deep thought until finally he stood up from where he was sitting. "Please wait here for a moment. I need to grab a few things," as he left the room, leaving Izuku with Tomo. Could it be possible for me to make a phone call? My mom is probably worried I've been gone for a whole night," said Izuku, worried his mom hasn't melted down yet. That may be a little harder than you might think," she said, giving him a one-eyed look. "For starters, I guess I should mention you've been out for 4 days." "What?" His mom was beyond melted by now. Izuku fell down just at the thought of her crying. Oh man, she is going to freak out. How am I going to explain this one? You okay?" she asked. Probably shouldn't mention the fact that he somehow stumbled on a government secret just yet, and his chances of seeing his mom again are getting a little slim. "Oh well, no skin off my back," she thought as Izuku wept. As long as he doesn't do anything to Master Yashiro, he'll live a little longer. As she simply drank her tea. The door slid open revealing Yushio holding a picture frame and a Bakken, training sword. I'm sorry for keeping you waiting. He looked to see Izuku sobbing on the ground. Is he alright? I may have mentioned that he's actually been out for 4 days and he didn't take it so well. Midoriya, I need you to take a look at this, he said as he put the picture frame in front of Izuku. Izuku looked up at the picture. It was an old black and white photo, and even though the picture itself wasn't the best quality, Izuku could make out one of the faces. Is that Mr. Tanjiro? When was this taken? Over 400 years ago. What? No way, said Izuku, looking at him in disbelief. That's impossible. The first quirk ever recorded was 240 years ago. There's no way he's still alive today if this picture is that old. He isn't alive. He died of old age 400 years ago. I was there when he passed. Izuku could only stare at the supposed teenager in front of him. Even though it sounded impossible, Izuku was slowly piecing things together. Yashiro sounded wise, and even Izuku could feel as if he was older than he looked, as if he had been walking on this earth for years. How old are you? Yashiro simply held the Bakken out for Izuku. Come show me the dance you saw in your dream. Izuku took the Bakken before he was led outside to a small training area, where he saw a familiar circle of unlit torches. Izuku walked into the circle, and after looking at Yashiro's gaze, Izuku began the dance that he saw in his dream. When Izuku started the dance, he expected himself to just go with the movements. He didn't expect the same levels of feelings to occur as it did in his dream, but it did. As he started to pick up the pace, his senses started to go into overdrive. Izuku kept going faster than it felt as if the Bakken he was holding lit on fire. Wait, it is on fire, screamed Izuku as he dropped the flaming Bakken before trying to stomp it out. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for that to happen. How in the world did that even happen in the first place? In a way, he heard Tomo yell. Izuku looked over to see both of them in complete awe. You can use the breath of the sun. How in the world can you do that? She yelled in disbelief while Yashiro remained silent. What? Okay, what is the breath of the sun and what exactly did I just do? A little scared but also a little excited, did he just unlock his quirk? You just used an ancient ability that predates quirks. A power so rare I didn't think I would ever see it again, said Yashiro as he picked up the burnt Bakken. Izuku, Midoriya, you have done something that no one else has done in over 100 years. This ability you now possess was instrumental in taking down one of, if not the greatest threat to mankind has ever faced. I am willing to train you and teach you everything about this power and tell you everything, including the origin of quirks and other secrets that very few people in this world know. Do you accept? Izuku stood there stunned for a moment. The amount of information in Yashiro's speech opened his curiosity, and this ability could be the key to his dreams. And these people are the first to ever be willing to help with his dream. I accept, please teach me how to be a hero. Yashiro smiled. I don't know about a hero, but a demon slayer should do just fine. Next time, A Hero's Walk. If you want to read this one right now, check out my username on some of the other fanfic websites. Chapter 3: A Hero's Walk. Katsuki Bakugo was having a bad day. Mainly because he was currently being suffocated by a giant sludge villain trying to use him as a skin suit. As Bakugo struggled trying to break free from the slime, he saw around him the heroes who were just staring at him, helpless to do anything. He wanted to scream at them for being useless and not doing anything, only to see the destruction his own explosions were making. For some reason it reminded him of the past few years. His life flashed before him. The day he got his quirk, the day he announced he would be the #1 hero in the world. Then he remembered the last day he saw his childhood. The guilt he felt when Ms. Midoriya came looking for her son. He clearly saw the sadness in her eyes as she cried for her son. The rage in his own mother's eyes as she told him the amount of damage he has done. It was the first time he remembered her telling him off without actually yelling at all. Then today, when he told everyone he was going to UA, those hypocrites actually told him off for causing their fellow classmate to run away, or worse, be the cause of his death, when none of them, not even the teachers, did anything to stop him or save Izuku. Now he may die right here. Toshinori Yagi stood there at the back of the crowd watching the scene unfold. The #1 hero in the world, All Might felt useless sitting there having to watch. What kind of hero am I, if I can't save a single child? Hey mister, you mind holding this box for a moment? Toshinori looked over his shoulder to see a young man with messy green hair wearing a green Hiyori hold out a large wooden box. Without thinking, he grabbed the box and almost dropped under the weight. Wayo, hey kid. He then noticed the young man had a katana at his side. Is this kid a hero? No, he's too young to be a hero. Even for one in training, All Might was about to stop him when he disappeared. Everyone in the crowd felt a rush of air as what appeared to be a flash of lightning pass over them, past the heroes and headed right towards the villain. In a split second, Bakugo was ripped from the villain's grasp and was on the ground. Bakugo coughed as he tried to get air into his lungs. He was able to get to steady his breathing and got on his hands and knees trying to get up. Long time no see, Bakugo froze. He looked up to his savior to see the back of a man in green with Hanafuda earrings. The man slowly turned his head towards him. Good to see you again, Bakugo. Deku. You little brat, screamed the villain as he launched himself at Izuku. Izuku calmly began to step forward as he grabbed the hilt of his katana. Form 11. For a moment everyone there could have sworn they were on the surface of a calm lake that was pure and undisturbed until a ripple appeared with Izuku at the center. The next thing everyone saw was the villain blown to pieces being scattered across the alleyway. For a moment of silence before the crowd erupted in cheers. The kid did it, that was awesome. He blew the monster away. He's strong. No, that was definitely a speed quirk like Samurai X. He didn't blow the villain away, said the hero Death Arms. What do you mean? Asked a fellow hero MT lady. Death Arms continues to watch the swordsman as he puts his blade back into his sheath. From what I can tell, he sliced the villain so many times the force from all those blows blew him apart. Makes sense, said Kamui Woods. One moment he was just standing there with his sword sheathed and the next it was in his hand and the villain was in pieces. Okay, but what was with the calming lake? She said, noticing the weird look of her co-workers. What? You saw the lake too? It must have something to do with his quirk. Hey wait kid, yelled Death Arms as he saw Izuku making his way through the crowd. Toshinori stood there dumbfounded, not sure what to say to the young man, though he had to think of something quick as Izuku was approaching. How did you do that? I had an excellent teacher, said Izuku as he took the box from the skeleton. He paused for a moment. You should really retire soon or take it easy. It doesn't look like your body can handle too much anymore. What? How did this kid know about his injuries? Who is this kid? Hold it kid, you can't just leave yet, yelled Death Arms as he and the other heroes made their way through the crowd. I'm sorry, I need to return to my teacher. Deku, screamed Bakugo, still using that name Hakachin, as he smiled. Izuku took a deep breath before he was suddenly surrounded by mist. Please tell my mother she will have to wait just a bit longer before I can come home, he said as the mist enveloped him. When the mist cleared, he was gone. After the whole incident with the slime villain and the mysterious appearance of the young swordsman, Bakugo, the heroes and All Might, since he was holding the box, were taken into the police station, where it was revealed to the heroes that the swordsman was a boy who disappeared 2 years ago. Where is my son? Came a scream, causing everyone to turn to see a green-haired woman standing in the doorway. Everyone could tell from her eyes she had been crying a lot. Hello, you must be Ms. Midoriya. I'm Detective Nao Mesa, said the detective as he pulled out a chair for her. Please have a seat. Meow. This sound caught everyone's attention. They all looked to see a cat coming through the door. A cat, said Death Arms. Who let the cat in? Asked MT Lady. Is it a stray? Kamui Woods grows some branches to grab the cat. Cha, how'd you get here? Said Inko as she went and picked up the cat. I'm sorry, this is my cat. I don't know how she got here. I left her at home. Maybe she knew that you needed some comfort. Animals will go to great lengths for their owners, said Death Arms with tears as he remembered his loyal dog. Such a brave dog. One that's a cat. MT Lady poking Death Arms back to earth. 2. Why were you to use your quirk on the cat? She asked Kamui Woods. Well, about a week ago I helped a child get his cat down from a tree and well, I never owned a cat myself, so that's when I learned how furious they could be. He said a bit embarrassed. "My son, do you know where my son is?" She said. Everyone could tell the desperation in her voice. It was apparent that she has been trying to find her son for a very long time. "We are doing what we can, and we were hoping you could clarify something for us." She nodded. "Can you please tell us what your son's quirk is? The only files we have here says that your son is quirkless." "He is quirkless. He never developed a quirk." "What are you sure, ma'am?" "We can confirm with several heroes and other eyewitnesses that he moved at super speed, caused a mass hallucination and somehow created a thick mist to get away. My son has never been able to do anything like that. Are you sure we're talking about my Izuku here?" Bakugo finally spoke up, confirming it was him, telling her how even though he's changed he still knew his old nickname. "He wanted me to tell you he was sorry and that you will have to wait for him a little longer." Inko began to cry, partly tears of joy and relief knowing her son is still alive and tears of sadness and pain that he wasn't coming home yet. She held her cat as she quietly began crying. Tashinori sat there watching the scene while also glancing at Izuku's file, mainly the part about him being quirkless or was quirkless. The boy did just save his old classmate like a hero, but he knew of a way for someone to get a quirk, and he just showed several different abilities, and if his theory was correct then this boy Izuku made a deal with the devil himself. Ms. Midoriya, there was one more thing he did mention before he disappeared. Catching their attention. After I gave him his box back I asked him how he was able to do well whatever he did, and he said he had a great teacher. Do you know what teacher he's talking about? No. My son has never mentioned a teacher or any kind. He was always quiet and an introvert. He didn't really have any friends, said Inko, hoping whoever was this teacher was keeping her little boy safe. The detective saw where All Might's questioning was really. You don't really think this has something to do with him, do you? All for one, he whispered to his friend. I'm not sure. I defeated him years ago, but it sounded more and more like it by the second. I just can't think of any other way this kid could have gotten multiple quirks. All Might hardened his gaze as the picture of the boy on the wall. It might be too late for him, but I will try and do what I can. But if this is his handiwork and if he is alive, then this boy's vile demon of a teacher may soon know my fist of justice once more. Achoo, sneeze Yashiro. Master, are you all right? You're not getting sick, are you? Said Tomo, overly worried for her master's health. I can't get sick, Tomo, said Yashiro as he continued to read on his tablet. But you sneezed. There are several reasons for someone to sneeze. Not all of them are due to illness. Yashiro-sensei, Tomo-san, I'm back, Izuku said as he walked into the room. Welcome back, Izuku-kun. Welcome back. Did you get what I asked for? Asked Yashiro as he set down his tablet and grabbed the remote on the table. Yep, as Izuku sat the box down, opening it up to reveal several books. Got them all right here. Perfect, said Yashiro as Tomo asked what the books were. They're old books that once belonged to a family that was a descendant of an old friend of mine, but they were stolen a little over a century ago and the family has long since lost their roots. I'll keep an eye on them for a while and have them restored. After that I'll most likely give them to a museum. Though it looks like you had an eventful day. Everyone looked at the TV as it showed a recap of today's events. Sorry, Sensei, I know the guy who was in danger and I couldn't just sit by and do nothing. Izuku said as he bowed in apology. Yashiro raised an eyebrow while Tomo began to giggle. Yashiro brought his hand to Izuku and flicked him on the head. Izuku, I don't care that you helped out your friend. In fact, I'm quite content with you helping out those heroes. In fact, you will have several opportunities to do so again here in the near future. This got curious looks from his wards. Since I began training you, I've reconnected with several people who are in need of some assistance. The government has been more than hesitant to allow it. By the way, did you ever find out what happened that made them so jumpy about you doing really everything? Asked Tomo. Apparently the one person they don't want anyone to know about got into a really big fight with All Might. That must be how he got injured. That makes sense. I think I met him today. Did he look like a skeleton with his internal organs in ruin? Yeah. I could just tell that he looked terrible. Is there anything you can do for him? Certainly, the only problem is that I've never met him before. I only knew his predecessor, Nana Shimura. The last time I spoke to her she told me she passed her quirk to All Might. I offered her help then with her quirk and even to watch over her child, but she admitted that I should stay far away from any of them. Even though we were on speaking terms, I could tell that the truth shook her. So I never met All Might, but if given the chance I wouldn't mind helping him. Don't get too excited, Izuku, you can't just bring him here. We have rules for several reasons, reminded Tomo. So All Might and All for One got into a fight and the government got scared and said you couldn't leave the mountain. They requested I lie low for a while. Tomo, I've told you before, I've learned working with some people is better than working against them or going off and doing things my way, said Yashiro, noticing the slight anger in her voice. Besides, these years gave me an opportunity to teach Izuku, re-evaluate the schedule for a few projects, and it gave the government time to quiet things down. To make sure that All for One didn't leave any information about my past that could cause a panic. Izuku couldn't help but agree with the government on that one. He did feel bad for his sensei, but with how he reacted to learning he was an 800-year-old demon and the nightmare origins of quirks, he could only imagine how the populace would react if they learned the truth. It wouldn't be pretty. Though now they are letting up a bit and I have a few people who need help with some very interesting projects that I wouldn't mind taking a look at. So I'm going to need you to be my go-between, either delivering information or making runs for me. And if you happen to come across a villain or two while you're out, you have my full permission to intervene if you feel the need to. Really, but won't that cause problems? I don't have a license. I mean, I know my abilities aren't a quirk, but I still need a license to do hero work. Tomo began to laugh. Izuku, Master Yashiro knows so many people in the government he could make all your crimes disappear with a simple phone call. I don't know about that, said Yashiro while he drank some tea. Though I can't deny that I do know some people who will more than happily brush any vigilante work you do under the rug. Really? Oh yes. Remember those people who need help with those projects? Izuku nodded. Some of them are also people in the government and they will happily look the other way for our help. Would they be willing to turn the other way for us? Tomo chuckled. Izuku, Master is just being modest. He has several world leaders on speed dial. Heck, at the turn of the 21st century he owned half of Japan. What, really? No, Tomo. I didn't own half of Japan. I admit I began to invest a lot into real estate, but that had its purposes, and I do admit I know some powerful people, but I don't have them on speed dial. Master, please be honest. If you picked up the phone and asked for Island right now, and I'm not talking about one department, the whole thing right now, and tell us they wouldn't give it to you. Silence. Yashiro couldn't honestly answer. Even he couldn't deny if he wanted to he could have several people eating out of the palm of his hand. See? No way, really. Tomo held her head high. Master is well respected throughout the whole world. The amount he has contributed to the world is so staggering, they come crawling at the drop of a hat, she said with pride. As Izuku stared in awe, Yashiro sighed. I can't deny I know people, but calm down, Tomo. I wasn't that bad with my lady, was I? He thought. Back to the subject at hand. Are you up to being my running man for a little bit? It will be excellent for training. Of course. Are you sure? Asked Tomo. You're finally able to cut the boulder and you have learned to use quite a few breathing styles. So you have the master's blessing to leave the mountain. Don't you want to see your mother? That question cut deep into Izuku. I want to, but I'm not ready for that just yet. Izuku wouldn't deny he wanted to, but with everything he has learned and done, he needed time to think. He also just got permission to leave the mountain. He's been stuck there for over a year, but he didn't feel ready. He felt guilty, and both his friend and sensei knew that. They also felt guilty. Neither of them liked the idea of keeping him away from his mother. Though with the secrets that they had told him, they knew to a degree this was necessary. Even if Yashiro had his mother under watch just in case this somehow pushed her over the edge. Yashiro never really tried to make connections with anyone, mainly because he would outlive them, but Izuku became his student and someone who he could trust even with some of his deepest secrets. As for Tomo, Izuku became somewhat of a little brother to her. Before he came around, it was really just her and her master. Yashiro knew he needed to say something. Izuku, I know you feel like you don't know when you can see her again or explain everything, but you need to decide on a date to see her, and I won't accept any date past the UA entrance exam. You still want to go to UA? Yes. Yes, sir. I know for a fact your teachings will help me become a great hero, he said, giving a sunny smile. The exam is in 10 months, and in those final months I would like to increase my training, so 5 months, that's when I will see her. I'll put a reminder on the calendar, said Tomo as she cleared the table. Don't worry, Izuku, we'll be right there with you. Tomo is right, we may not be able to tell her everything, but we will be there for you. Thank you, Sensei, as waterfalls sprouted from his eyes. I know you're touched, but would you mind not ruining our floors? And so the days continued as several sightings of a boy in green taking on muggers, gangsters, and other criminals of the underworld. Currently bank robbers. All right, boys, are those hostages tied up? Yeah, boss, they ain't going anywhere. Have those cops brought the van like we asked? Not yet, said the boss robber as he looked outside. He could clearly see the police talking with some of the local heroes. They got 10 minutes before we start killing off some hosta-dash. He couldn't finish what appeared to be flowers growing on all their guns right before their weapons shattered into several pieces. What the? My rifle, my pistol? That was a Desert Eagle. It cost a fortune. Are you guys okay? All the robbers turned to see a kid with a katana freeing their hostages. Hey, that's the kid that's been playing hero around town. What do? We beat his butt in, of course. I got this, said the boss robber as he walked towards Izuku. Izuku turned to him as the hostages were getting scared as the boss robber raised his metal fist and put it right in front of Izuku. My quirk allows me to produce metal from my skin, something your sword can't cut through, but you're more than welcome to try. Go ahead, I dare ya. What surprised everyone was Izuku reaching with his empty hand to the metal arm and grabbing it. He took a deep breath before squeezing, crushing the metal hand. The robber collapsed to the ground, writhing in pain, holding his broken hand. So who's next? He asked before all the robbers surrendered. Bubble Girl realized too late she bit off more than she could chew. Come out so I can fry you, said Burnin. The two girls had met up while chasing down a jewel thief to a construction site. It was near midnight, so the site was empty, which did little to comfort the heroes as they had no idea where the thief disappeared to. One moment they were chasing him down, when they entered the construction site he vanished. Before they knew it, a spike hit Burnin in the leg when Bubble Girl went to help her and was shot in her arm from the opposite direction. That's when they realized they were dealing with a sniper. The next 10 minutes the duo tried their best to dodge the spikes and get to cover, but when they thought they found good cover they were just shot at again. This Esikas, said Burnin as they were hiding behind their third pillar. They both were covered in cuts and scratches. Not to mention exhausted from the worst game of hide and seek. Where is he? Burnin, the spikes, even though they've been coming from different places, they always come at a downward angle, meaning he has to be higher than us. Okay, so it means he has to be somewhere higher than us. Okay, what good does that do us? This construction site spans this whole block, said Bubble Girl. If we figure out which of the highest points he's shooting at us from, we can at least cover the exits. Wait, are you saying we should wait him out? Burnin getting in Bubble Girl's face. That bastard has been shredding my uniform and been a pain in my butt. I'm not letting this guy go before I teach him why they call me Burnin. Well, right now we don't have any better ideas. We can't find him, and none of our attacks have the range he has, and we both don't like the option of running away. I wouldn't be able to show my face in public again if I ran from a chump like this. Are you guys okay? Both girls turned to see Izuku staring at them. They stared back, wondering what a kid was doing here. Kid, get out of here. There's a villain nearby trying to get us. Run and get help. Call Sir Knight. He'll know what to do. What? Call Endeavor. He'll smoke this bastard out. Before he could respond, Izuku sidestepped left as a spike came at him. Then leaned back to dodge one from his left, and after raising his foot to barely miss the last spike. How, they both said. Does he have a precognition quirk or a reflex quirk? They thought as he expertly avoided the spikes. He's ricocheting the spikes, said Izuku as he kept dodging the spikes. I can hear the spikes bounce off the support beams, so it isn't hard to tell which way they're coming. Give me 1 second. he said as he put one knee down and extended his arms out with his palms open. What's he doing? I don't know. Found him. Breath of lightning, he said as he grabbed his sword and disappeared in an explosion of lightning. Both followed the trail of sparks up the support beams, only then to hear a grown man scream. They both saw the jewel thief hit ground with spikes coming out his arms along with a bag of jewels. Don't worry, he's out cold. Well, I gotta go. See ya. Wait, yelled Bubble Girl, but it was already too late as Izuku was already gone. Oh, that was the sword kid vigilante Sir wanted to meet. He's not going to be happy we let him go. He's not happy, I'm the one that said right now, yelled Burnin. He took our bad guy. The brat took our crook down without us doing anything. That brat owes us a fight. Bubble Girl could feel the sweat drop on her head as she watched Burnin fume for not being able to fight. Well, at least we can bring the thief in and return the jewels. But I'm all fired up. The night was quiet over Kyushu. Just the way Hawks liked it. A nice quiet night. Maybe I can get a late night snack on the way home. Kaboo. Me and my stupid mouth. He turned to see a building with smoke coming from the top. Okay, let's find out who ruined my night. As Hawks got closer, he saw more and more windows burst open. Hawks were about to dive into the building when a person shot from one of the windows, almost colliding with Hawks. The figure stopped and hovered in mid-air, revealing to Hawks a woman with 4 metal wings. What, are you serious? First, the sword brat, now Hawks. Oh wow, a pretty lady like you knows who I am. I'm flattered, said Hawks, getting his feathers ready for a fight. Wait, did you say sword brat? Whoa, it's the number 3 hero Hawks. Both flyers turned to see Izuku on the roof of a building, fanboying at seeing a high-ranking hero. Hey, aren't you that kid everyone is talking about? The flying woman thought this would be a good chance to escape, but when she tried, she saw Hawk's feathers blocking her path. Sorry, beautiful, but our date just started and it would be rude of me to leave you on your own. Ah, what a gentleman, but I'm not your girl. I'm Steel Angel and I fly solo, said Steel Angel as she wiped her wings, creating a wind blade right at Hawks. He was about to intercept it with his feathers, but another wind blade appeared and intercepted the first. They both turned to see Izuku with sword in hand. Breath of air. He began to strike with his sword, creating several wind blades at Steel Angel. You brat! She screamed as she dodged as she flew higher, trying to create distance between them. This is a fight I can't win, but this is a fight I can run away from. As she began to spin into a small tornado, creating several wind slashes in all directions. Slice through Hawk's feathers and force him back. She didn't let this opportunity go to waste. She flew as fast as she could. Hawks cursed as he began his pursuit. She's faster than I thought. Even though this is fun, I need to stop her quickly. They continued their game of cat and mouse until Steel Angel had to make an immediate stop or else be pierced by another wind slash. The brat. They looked down to see Izuku pursuing them, jumping from rooftop to rooftop. He was able to keep up with us on foot. Impressed. Not many heroes could do something like that. This kid ain't half bad. That's it, this DMN brat is dead, yelled Steel Angel as she dived at Izuku before launching a massive wind blade at Izuku. Izuku was in mid-air at the time but was able to use his blade to not only block the attack but also cancel it. The only problem was that it also caused him to stop mid-jump while he was above an intersection. Gotcha, eat concrete, you little sheet. Oh no, the kid's gonna fall, thought Hawks, readying his feathers, until he saw the impossible. Tomo, what are you doing? Master Yashiro, said Tomo, flustered as she quickly tried to clean the table full of notebooks. I was just doing some light reading. Aren't these Izuku notebooks? Said Yashiro as he recognized the well-detailed notes. Did you take these from his room? I'm sorry, Master, she said guiltfully. I just couldn't help myself. I was just so curious about the new techniques he was working on. Really, I thought you had no interest in the demon-slaying techniques? Well, I do admit I didn't think there would be any point in learning the techniques since I have no real desire to fight, but I have read the books in the library and some of Izuku's techniques don't match with any of the books I've read. So I was just curious. Yashiro couldn't help but chuckle. I forget sometimes you're still a child. She began to pout. But to answer your question, The reason those techniques aren't in the old text is because they were impossible back then. Does this have something to do with your different training methods? I'll admit that's one of them. I've lived hundreds of years, and in those times I've trained several people in a variety of subjects and learned how to improve on several training methods. Especially the demon slayer techniques, since I've tried to preserve their knowledge while the world forgot it. A master, I kind of know that already. Well, clearly not all of it, because I also preserved the techniques that were only theories back then. Here. Grabbing a specific notebook and handing it to Tomo. Those are the notes he made on techniques that could be possible to learn and use based on those old theories. Wow, these are super detailed, she said as she skimmed through the notebook. Izuku's analytical skills are incredible, and these were based on theories? She said in awe as Yashiro nodded in confirmation. But wait, that only explains how he came up with those moves. How is he able to pull them off when the masters of old couldn't? Is it because he got an early crash course in the breath of the sun? No, while Izuku was given an opportunity, others weren't, and his eyes are top-notch. His greatest advantage is his genetics. His genetics? Do you know what quirks his parents have? His mom has a low form of telekinesis and his dad can breathe fire. Wait, his dad? Yes, while Izuku doesn't have a quirk himself, his father was born with a quirk that must have improved his lungs incredibly, and some of those genes were passed down to Izuku along with the natural evolution of quirked humans. Izuku can use abilities that the masters of old could only dream of. Hawks had to rub his eyes in disbelief. One moment the kid was falling, then the next he was standing. Standing in midair. Fwoosh. Fwoosh. He can fly, they yelled as Izuku began to run on air. Cloudwalk. Okay, what the hell is this kid's quirk? Yelled Steel Angel. How should I know, says Hawks, wondering the same. Hey kid, how are you doing that? Hoping to get at least some info on the kid. I figured it out while I was being chased around a mountain for 2 weeks by an Okama. Okama? They both said, not sure how to respond. Izuku's face grimaced as the memories came back. It wasn't fun. My sensei's friend could be a hellish gym instructor. It was a nightmare. The only good thing that came out of it is I learned how to run on air. This only confused the two more. Anyway, you are ready to surrender yet? No way. I don't do jumpsuits, and orange is a disgusting color. She cried out as reality seemed to set in. I ain't going to jail. Not like this. As she gave one final wind slash at Izuku. Very well. As his sword light ablaze. Breath of the sun dawning flame. Izuku sent a fire slash going right through her wind slash and directly hitting Steel Angel. She would have fallen if Hawks hadn't caught her bridal style. After he made sure she was okay, he turned to Izuku, who was still somehow standing on air. Nice job, kid. I don't suppose you would mind helping me take her to the station. Sorry, but I can't do that just yet. If I went with you, I don't think they would let me go just yet. Besides, it looks like you got your hands full. He said before running into the clouds. Before Hawks lost sight of him, he sent a single small feather and smiled when he felt contact. I'll leave that on him for a while and see what he does next. That kid is definitely interesting, he thought as he felt the woman in his arms begin to stir. Well, Sleeping Beauty, it looks like it's time I take you to the police. Next time. Name if you want to read this one right now. Check out my username on some of the other fanfic websites. Ejiro Kirishima was having a dilemma. Early that day, he tried to help out one of his classmates from some bullies only to be easily beaten, and his friends were of no help as they only pointed out how unoriginal he was and how weak his quirk was. How can I be a hero if my spirit breaks so easily? He said, feeling powerless to save anyone. He was currently walking home from school when he noticed one of the TVs in a store showing news of the mysterious child swordsman in green with Hanafuda earrings. He was helping out pro-hero Lightning Max with a villain attack. The news reporter ended by reminding everyone that he was committing a crime for doing vigilante work. Why can't I be more like him? He looks to be about my age, and he doesn't look like he's afraid of anything. I wonder if he'll tell me how he does it, he thought as he began to walk away from the store. He continued down the road a bit before he heard a scream. He looked to see the scream coming from 2 girls from his school with a giant of a man standing before them. He was well over 3 stories tall, wearing a massive cloak over his massive body. "Where is the spring hero office?" The 2 girls were way too scared to even respond. All they could do was cower. "Are you not going to tell me?" he said as his hand began to crush the building above the girls. "There's no police or hero around to do anything," thought Kirishima. "Come on," he told himself, "move," but he was unable to move past his own fears. He stood there wanting to move and be a hero that protected people. Mina dashed in front of the giant in defense of the girls. "It's 2 blocks down, turn right and cross the street." "Thank you," said the giant before he suddenly tensed, crushing the wall, causing rubble to fall. Kirishima could only look on in horror as he saw his classmates were crushed. "Mina. Oh, you know these girls," said a voice. Kirishima turned his head to see a guy from the TV, the swordsman in green. "Izuku Midoriya. Would you mind looking after them?" Past him was Mina and their classmates. "Perfectly safe. Thanks." Wait. Kirishima didn't finish as he noticed that the giant was now staring in their direction. In particular Izuku. Kirishima knew this was about to get real. As Izuku began walking towards the giant began to shake, but not out of excitement. No, he was scared. The mountain of a man was scared of someone who was barely a tenth of his size. "Demon Slayer." "Demon Slayer?" repeated Kirishima, confused on what the giant meant. "So you know who I am?" said Izuku as he stared down the giant with one hand on his sheath with his thumb on the hilt, pushing his sword out just enough to see the blade. "Who are you? Who do you work for?" The giant couldn't answer as memories flooded his head. Memories that weren't his but scared him nonetheless. To him, the boy in front of him was his longest and most dangerous enemy that has killed him time and time again. He felt true fear of countless before him as they faced their death at the hands of numerous swordsmen. The giant then did something that none of the onlookers thought he would do. He ran. He ran down the street and turned down the first street. Izuku gave chase but stopped in front of the street the giant turned. "Hey, wait up," said Kirishima as he ran after them. "Demon Slayer, wait," he yelled, but as he turned the corner all he saw was Izuku standing in the street. "Hey Demon Slayer, where did the big guy go?" Izuku closed his eyes and sniffed the air. It seems someone with a teleportation quirk grabbed him. "A teleporter? Wait, how do you know that?" "It may be hard for you to notice, but if you look on the ground you can see that all the dirt and pebbles make a perfect circle, meaning that a portal took it somewhere else," he said as he pointed to the ground. It was hard, but Kirishima could see a perfect circle of dirt. "Wow, I would have never noticed that." Not many would, but another big giveaway is the smell. "The smell?" He sniffed the air and smelled something. "Alcohol, I smell alcohol, and definitely the strong kind." "Exactly, there isn't a single bar nearby, yet you can clearly smell something like the inside of a bar." Kirishima was impressed, so was the crowd that was forming around them. Many of them wanted to know more about the newly named Demon Slayer. Though for him personally this was his chance to speak to him, maybe gain something that can help him be a hero. "Wait, Demon Slayer, I got a question." Izuku was about to leave but stopped and gave the boy in front of him an interesting look. "Okay, what's your question?" How do you do it? Aren't you scared? You're not even in high school and you're taking guys on like a pro." Izuku tilted his head at his question and thought for a second before walking up to Kirishima. "Do you want to be a hero?" Kirishima is a little unsure of himself. "Yes." Izuku remembered something the Yashiro-sensei told him. Wisdom can come from everyone and from everywhere, even yourself. You or whoever you're divulging the information to just has to be able to accept the wisdom you're giving. Then he remembered how it started with him. "Do you want to go for a run?" That was the last thing he thought he was going to be asked. He was skeptical. "Sure." Izuku gave a sunny smile before grabbing his shoulder and enveloping them in mist. When it finally cleared, both boys were gone. It was the hardest run of Kirishima's life, but he pushed through. He chased Demon Slayer through the streets and back alleys. After a while, Kirishima was about to call it when Demon Slayer finally started to teach him something. "Alternate the hardness on your legs." Kirishima was breathing too hard to respond, but the confusion on his face was enough for Demon Slayer to get the question. "When I grabbed your shoulder, you hardened a little bit." Now alternate your hardness and absorb the shock from your legs. Kurashima did as he said. It was tricky at first, but soon he got the hang of it and running became easier, and so did his breathing. "Wayo, I can run," he said as he felt the wind as he ran. Though he stopped when he noticed Demon Slayer stopping. "Hand me your bag and your shoes." "My shoes?" "Harden the soles of your feet should give you way better traction than your shoes will." After Kurashima got the idea, he quickly took his shoes off and handed them to Demon Slayer. When they continued running, Kurashima easily increased his speed. "I've never thought of this before," he yelled as he picked up speed. Izuku grinned. "This guy is a quick study. Alright, now I want you to follow me, but I'm going to begin some quick turns, so harden different parts of your legs to turn easier so you don't lose speed or momentum," he said before speed through the alleyways of the city, taking every quick turn he could make. Kurashima almost crashed twice but began to understand what Izuku was talking about. By hardening certain parts of his body and keeping others loose, he was able to turn easier and keep his momentum going. "Good, you're getting the hang of it. You got a hardening quirk that does give you a small strength boost, but your big hits will come from increasing your speed like a battering ram." Izuku turned down a long alleyway with a building at the end. "Okay, we're switching it up and we're going straight." "We're going straight through the building," said Kurashima, shocked. He didn't want to pay for property damage. Izuku laughed. "Just because your quirk seems straight doesn't mean it is, nor should you be climbing the building, so everything you've done with your legs is going to do with your hands as well." "Ready, go," he said as he dashed forward and went up the building. Kurashima had come this far and wasn't going to back down. He made a quick decision on which parts of his hands to harden and rushed forward. Jumped and dug his hands into the wall as he tried to use as much of his speed as possible and climbed the side of the building. Even though he was tired, but when he got the rhythm down, he practically flew up the building. In fact, he moved so fast his momentum carried him above the roof. Lucky Izuku was there to catch him. "So what did you think of your first run?" he said as he put him down. "Thank," said Kurashima before inhaling a lot of air. "I never thought I could climb a building like that, or well, really anything you just showed me. I'm not strong like you. I could never do anything like this." Izuku slapped Kurashima's back more than hard enough to leave a good bruise. "Don't sell yourself, just look at where your own hands and feet have brought you," he said as he pointed over to the other side of the roof. Kurashima walked to the edge and saw one of the most breathtaking views of the city he had ever seen. "This is incredible. I've never seen the city like this before. The only way you can get a great view like this is if you get up here with your own 2 feet. But I'm only here because you brought me here. I guided you here, I did not carry you, I did not activate your quirk. You did that, and even without me you could do this again with your own strength." Kurashima couldn't help but smile and blush a little at the compliment. "Yeah, I guess I could do this again." Though his smile quickly turned into a frown. "Though I couldn't do anything back there, I was so scared I couldn't move. How can I be a hero if get so scared I can't even move?" he said as self-doubt set in. "How do you do it? How come you're not scared?" "Are you kidding me? I'm terrified." "What? But you always rush and head first. You never hesitate. Do you remember seeing those girls almost getting crushed?" "Yeah, of course I do. It happened like an hour ago." "Do you remember how you felt before you realized that they were safe?" Kurashima knew that feeling. He had let them die. "Remember that feeling and make sure you never feel it again. The thing that scares me more than me dying or getting hurt is the thought that someone is going to get hurt because I didn't do anything. I don't want to regret anything." As Kurashima listened to Izuku, he couldn't help but feel like he heard that somewhere before. "Hey, that sounds like something Crimson Riot would say." "Oh, are you familiar with Crimson Riot?" "Familiar. He's my all-time favorite hero. He's so manly. He's a hero who doesn't back down and saves people and serves justice with a chivalrous spirit," said Kurashima enthusiastically. "Well, maybe you should rewatch some of his interviews, maybe something there that you missed," as he began to walk to the side of the roof. "The fire escape is this way. You should try and see how much of your body you can harden at a time and for how long. Maybe do some training dash." "Wait, hold it, are you leaving?" asked Kurashima, a little sad. "Yep, I still have a lot of things to do today, and there is something I need to talk to my sensei about." "Your sensei?" Kirishima couldn't help but wonder what kind of man he was. Do you think I could meet him or if he would train me? I'm afraid not. Immediately shooting down the request. There are reasons why he can't train you. In fact, the only reason he trained me is because his friend asked him to. Really, what kind of hero was he? Oh, he wasn't a hero, but he's been around a very long time and knows a lot. Actually, a lot of my physical training was either done by his assistant or one of his friends he would call in. Like a guest lecture. So, he's not some teacher who runs a school or anything, huh? Izuku nodded, dashing his hopes. Man, after seeing this guy in action, I kinda wondered what his sensei could teach me. Man, looks like I'm back to my own training. Speaking of your training, I think there are a few points you should focus on, said Izuku as they began to make their way down the fire escape. 1. You should stick to trying to increase your overall physical abilities. 2. Try and see what other moves you can do by hardening certain parts of your body and what patterns yield what results. 3. See how long you can maintain those patterns and how long you can maintain a full body hardened state. Kirishima quickly brought out his phone and began to type them down. Okay, I think I got it. Good, I'm no teacher, but hopefully those ideas will help you become a hero, he said as he was about to say goodbye and leave. Wait, I have 3 questions to ask before you leave. Okay, shoot. Why do you go around like this? You're pretty much doing vigilante work. Were you sick of waiting or something? Oh no, said Izuku, getting flustered, scratching the back of his head. I just can't really help myself. I don't know why, but when I see people in danger, my legs kind of just start moving on their own. I don't really mean to break the law or anything. I respect the laws and the heroes that enforce it. Mutter, mutter, mutter. Hey dude, you okay? I think you left Earth or something. Oh sorry, well I get flustered or think too hard, I start to mumble. It's a habit I'm trying to break. Okay, well, next question. Kirishima had to make himself serious. Why don't you go home? The question clearly caught Izuku off guard as his face began to fill with sadness and self-disappointment. I'm sorry for asking it, but I felt that I had to. I've seen the news, one day you just disappeared and then suddenly you just reappeared kicking butt and taking names. Your mom is on the news with a few interviews. I know, I've seen them, said Izuku as he gathered his thoughts. I didn't want to go back as I was. I didn't want to stop my training, and I didn't know what to tell her to keep her from stopping me, or even how to tell her. Izuku looked his new friend in the eyes. Ready to lie. That day I disappeared. A man found me broken and beaten up. He knew I needed help and brought me to the man I would soon call sensei. One of my broken ribs punctured my lungs and needed medical attention. My sensei patched me up, but I fell asleep for 4 days when I woke up and told them I had gotten into that state of being weak and unable to save somebody from a bully they wanted to help. The man who found me asked me to take a test. It was a tough mountain obstacle course. I passed, and the man convinced my sensei to train me. That mountain showed me I could follow my dreams, so when my sensei told me he could train me, I jumped at the chance. Even agreed not to leave the mountain until I completed the first part of my training. You see, I didn't have good control over my abilities, and he was worried that if we left too soon I may be a danger to myself and others around me. I finished the first part within the first few months. To be honest, I've been kind of avoiding going home. I know I should, or at least call, but every time I try I freeze. Kirishima digested everything he had just heard. So nothing is stopping you from going home, just you. Yep, my sensei knows this and has given me a due date to go home before he drags me home. Kirishima breathed a sigh of relief. So you're all good there then. I guess the last question I got now is, are you going to become a legit hero then? Izuku's sunny smile came back. Of course, that hasn't changed. I will become a hero no matter what. I will become a pillar of hope for all. All right, as he raised his fist. That's a goal I can get behind. I'll see you at the top, Demon Slayer. Izuku Midoriya, as he bumped his fist. Ijiro Kirishima. Well then, Ijiro Kirishima, keep up the hard work and I will see you at the top, said Izuku as he ran back to the mountain. Kirishima went home as well, planning to go over everything he learned today, make a plan and watch an old video of Crimson Riot Izuku reminded him of, only to find reporters and police at his house. His night was only just beginning. Izuku made it back to Mbisajiri as Tomo was finished putting dinner on the table. Oh Izuku, welcome back. Hey Tomo, do you know where Sensei is? I need to speak with him. He's out back checking the little wisteria tree. He actually wants to talk to you about that kid you kidnapped. You didn't bring him here, did you? What? I didn't kidnap him. I was just trying to help him a little. He had some serious self-confidence issues. He just needed someone to show him what he could do. That sounds familiar, she teased. Izuku could only look away in embarrassment. Well, you should go see him and good luck. Just like Tomo said, Izuku found Yashiro looking at the small wisteria tree in the back of the garden. Izuku bowed. Sensei, I've returned. Izuku, before we talk about anything else, I need to ask, did you tell that boy anything? No Sensei, I stuck with the lie we came up with. Good, though I would like to hear about your day in detail. Yes Sensei. Though there is one part one need to tell you immediately. Izuku then told his sensei about his encounter with the giant. He knew who I was and was scared. I've never seen this guy before, and even I could tell he outmatched me. So why did he run away? Gigantomachia. Gigantomachia? That is the name of the giant you meet today. He works for, or I should say the man who created him was the man I warned you about. The man who reminds me most of him. All for one, said Izuku, remembering the stories he was told. The man who was more demon than man. A man who should be avoided at all cost. He had brought many heroes to their knees and killed at least 10 times the amount. Indeed, the reason that Gigantomachia was so scared of you is because All for One gave him more quirks enough to activate memories deep within them. Memories that don't belong to him. Memories? Said Izuku, confused before horror dawned on his face at the realization. What does that mean? All for One knows about demons and about him. Izuku calmed down. You see, years ago All for One tried his best to learn everything there was to know about quirks since he revolved around other quirks. He figured out a long time ago the truth about them. Wait, you mean he knows about everything? Not everything. He knows about the existence of demons and a little bit about the demon slayers and the history of both, but not all of it. Years ago he tried to create a demon, but human physiology has changed too much. The quirk factor counters the demon blood too much, so he failed, but he learned that if he mixes too many quirks together or the right pattern of quirks, he will get visions of the past, so will anyone else who he has packed with quirks. It's why I warn you to avoid people with vision or memory quirks. Okay, so what do we do? For now, nothing. We have no idea where he is or any of his associates. So don't worry too much for now. They have made several enemies, me included. They will be found eventually and will face justice just like he did so many years ago. Hey, I don't mean to interrupt, said Tomo, coming outside. But dinner is ready. We better eat it while it's hot. We're on our way. Come Izuku. I think food will do us both some good. Right, this doesn't look good, said Detective Naomasa. He has been reading the report and statement of Eijiro Kirishima. The kid has been doing a lot of our work. Has the police gotten in any trouble? Asked Toshinori Yagi as he sipped some tea. They were currently at UA office going over all the information they had on the newly named Demon Slayer. They had brought the info to Nizu in hopes he might be able to shed some light on the situation. That's something else that's bothered me, said the detective, pulling some info up on his computer. We haven't gotten in trouble at all. Isn't that a good thing? I'm afraid you're wrong, All Might, said Nizu. When vigilantes start showing up, the government is usually the first to get angry. Yet I haven't heard a single politician on the news talking about arresting Demon Slayer. This is quite odd. The principal is right, he said as he showed them his laptop. These are all Fromer vigilantes. The police had several orders to arrest each and every single one of them. Even the trio of vigilantes that saved Captain Celebrity had order to arrest on sight. But this kid hasn't got a single order from the government. The only orders we got are from the chief of police himself. So wait, no one in the government has put anything out on this kid, said All Might, shocked. He expected the government to be up in arms. What about all the damages or laws he's broken? Nothing. If you watch any interviews, all of them just deflect or don't answer the question. Well, they answer, but it's just a politician's answer that doesn't answer anything. And this is quite troubling. Said Nizu, if the government is going to such lengths to let this boy go and play hero, then something must be going on. I've never heard of the government paying for the damages or reimbursement of a vigilante no matter how good they were. That's because they're not. Said a voice as the doors slammed open. Gran Torino, said All Might. Not expected to see his former mentor. What are you doing here? I called him here. I thought it would be a good idea to have him here as well, said Nizu. Greetings Torino, thank you for coming. No problem, said GT as he put several papers on the table. I've been following this kid since he fought that sludge villain. I called in a few favors and I found something I just couldn't believe. Someone has been paying for this kid out of pocket. What? But that can't be, said Nizu. On my calculations alone, the amount needed to cover all of these payments would require a small fortune. That would be if it was just the boy's activities, but several officials and construction companies have been paid off, and to top it off, every person involved in each incident, whether they be villain or victim, has had their hospital bills paid. Gran Torino's statement left the other three in silence. Even Principal Nizu had nothing to say. Principal Nizu, sir. How much would something like that cost? Asked All Might, somewhat scared of the answer. Nizu had to think a moment to figure it out. It was way too much for him to have the answer on the top of his head. I can't make an accurate answer with this many variables, but the amount of money needed may be around a national budget. What you mean someone is paying the same amount of money it takes to run a country for a kid? Screamed All Might as blood poured from his mouth. Well, that makes it easy at least, said Detective Neo Mesa, wiping the sweat off his forehead. We just need to check the top richest people in the country and see which one is missing a fortune. None of them are, said GT, getting their attention. I found out about the government's lack of involvement in the first month. For the past 2, I've been checking every rich family, every corporation, every government institution. Nothing. This money is coming from some private citizens with a bank account bigger than Japan. How is that possible? It isn't, said the principal, or at least they couldn't have this amount legally. It would take several lifetimes for the average person to get that money, maybe a whole lifetime for a rich CEO. Did you find where the trail leads? The trail ends with people who have been dead for over 100 years. All the accounts that were used were even before I was born. So let me get this straight, said the detective. We got a very rich person supporting a kid with an impossible amount of money to legally pay all of this out of pocket using accounts that are over 100 years old. The child in question has remarkable abilities, who according to our files was born quirkless, who now shows signs of several quirks and combat abilities that don't even compare to several pros, said Nizu. No one his age has ever shown such talent. But he's been using his powers for good, spoke All Might as he looked at the ground. I mean, he seems like a good kid. Gran Torino almost smiled at his student. Still just a kid yourself, Tashinori. I'm not talking about the kid himself. He said, I will not deny the kid has done good. However, we know next to nothing about the man who trained the boy. Who this mysterious sensei is. Villains have used kids before, said Neo Mesa. According to his own mother, he always wanted to be a hero, added Nizu. I can only think of one man who has the power, money, influence, and evil enough to manipulate a kid to do something like this. Let's face it, this has all for one written all over it. All Might's form began to enlarge as he changed into his hero form. You're right. I can't think of anyone else but him. That evil demon. Achoo. Sensei, are you getting sick? I'll go make you some soup, master. For the last time, I don't get sick, yelled Yashiro. Next time. The Girl in the Box. If you want to read this one right now, check out my username on some of the other fanfic websites. Chapter 5. The Girl in the Box. Izuku wondered about some of his master's friends. He just got done doing a small DLVOI. The man had a screw going through the side of his head. Izuku asked if it had something to do with his quirk and said his friend in America accidentally put it there. Izuku was just happy that Mr. Stein was going back to America. His deliveries were just weird. Though he wondered about the girl he mentioned. Apparently Izuku reminded him of one of his students that uses a scythe. Izuku was broken out of his thoughts as his phone buzzed. He checked the ID and saw it was Tomo. Oh, hello, Tomo-chan. Hey Izuku, you get that DLVOI done? Well, take your time coming back. The master's meeting with the scientists is going a little longer than expected. Apparently they really want him to be a part of some program on Island, but they don't want to give out all the details. That will never work out well. Izuku knew how much his teacher hated working on a project if he had no idea what exactly it was for. Anyway, dinner is gonna be late, so if you want to get a snack on your way back, go for it. Take a bit of a break. I saw the news and a nice job with the bear guy. Thanks, will do. I'll see you later. As he said goodbye, Izuku hung up. When he did, his phone flashed the date. The date to reunite with his mother was just 1 week away. Izuku was scared. He felt terrible leaving his mother the way he did. He made his decision and he was going to have to live with it, but none of the secrets or training he learned were a good enough excuse leaving his mother the way he did. He knew she was doing okay. His teacher sent one of his cats, who his mother named Cha-Cha, to watch over her. The cat comforted her, made sure she got to work on time, and also, accidentally, sits on her phone and dials Mitsuki's number whenever she's feeling down. Though it didn't make him feel any better. He knew he was really the only one in her life. His father only called after he saved Bakugo. The only thing his father has really done since he left was send more money to his mother. Though his mother stayed strong, and from what the cat has informed us, she was preparing for his return. He still wondered how his sensei taught a cat how to use a phone, or even type for that matter. Don't worry, there will be more crying, then there will be yelling. Izuku froze as he turned his head to only find a very cute girl in a pink Hiyori right in front of his face. When did this girl get so close? I didn't hear her or sense her at all. Who is this girl? Thought Izuku as he got a closer look at her. Wait, I know this girl. Are you Tanjiro's sister? Nezuko smiled as she looked at Izuku fondly. You really are like my brother. She then turned and began to walk down the street. Come, there is someone in need of you. Izuku didn't hesitate and began to follow her down the street, ignoring the onlookers and fans. I wonder, can they see her, or is it just me? As they turned down into an alleyway. As they delved deep, Izuku was wondering who she had asked him to help. She then stopped. Izuku looked around and couldn't see anyone in sight. He was about to ask when she kneeled down to a cardboard box and slowly opened it. Izuku was surprised to see a small girl with white hair, red eyes, and a small horn on her forehead, but what got his attention was the rags she was wearing and the bandages on her arms and legs. Whatever monster did this will know my blade. Don't worry, little one. This man here is the hero that will help you, said Nezuko, trying to reassure the girl. The girl still seemed frightened, but her words eased her, even if it was just a little. This girl has been through a lot. I've helped her as much as I can with the time I have. Do you think you can take care of her from here? Izuku gave the girl his brightest smile. Don't worry, I will protect her. I will protect you. Wait, miss, said the girl, you're not going to leave me, are you? I'm afraid so. But, the girl began to cry. You're the first person to ever help me, please don't go. Nezuko gave her a big hug. I'm so sorry, little one. You deserve so much better, but I can't give you that. The most I can do is make sure you are in good hands, and this man's hands are the best. My brother helped him when he was in need, and he will help you. With those words, Nezuko faded. You will be safe, your hero will help you. After seeing Nezuko disappear, the girl got scared and hid herself in the box. Izuku slowly approached the box, knowing that the girl was watching him from inside. Hey, don't worry, I don't know who did this to you, but I promise I won't let them hurt you again. She didn't respond. She just continued to watch him from the cracks between the cardboard slits. Come on, I know someplace safe where we can go. So how about you come out of that box, dash? And? Yelled the girl yelled. Nezuko said this would keep me safe. It keeps me away from them. It keeps others from my curse. They can't find me in the box. Did Nezuko tell you the box was safe like the one she had? Asked Izuku, remembering the tale of Nezuko. Yeah, she said, opening the box slightly. Did you know her? In a way, yes, I do know her. She had a wooden box that kept her safe while she traveled with her brother. Oh, I have an idea, we'll just take the box with us, he said as he grabbed the sides of the box. Ready, 1, 2, 3, as he lifted the box with the girl inside. Can you tell me your name? My name is Eri. My name is Izuku Midoriya. Are you hungry? Every person who was in the McDonald's went silent as they saw the now famous demon slayer walk into the fast food restaurant talking to a box. He put the box down onto the table and ordered a chicken sandwich and some apple slices. The manager made sure they got his order done quickly, but she had them double-check to make sure they got it done right. Meanwhile, he sat down at the table and then began to talk to the box again. It confused everyone until the manager brought the food. "Here you go, sir, 1 chicken sandwich and apple slices," said the manager as she put the food on the table. "Thanks," said Izuku as he grabbed the apple slices. "Here you go, airy apples just like you asked." To everyone's surprise, a little girl popped her head out, grabbed the apples and shut the box. Izuku saw their confusion, as well as fast movement outside the window. "I kinda found her hiding in this box. I couldn't just leave her there and saw she was hungry, so I came here. Sorry," he said as he bowed to the other customers and the manager. "Oh, it's no problem, sir," said the manager bowing back. "In fact, I'm happy my store could be of service." "Thanks," he said as he handed her several bills. "No, there's no need to give us more, you've already overpaid, sir. I insist, we've caused quite a commotion here, so please take it," he said, giving her a sunny smile she couldn't refuse. She left the two to eat. As Izuku ate, he kept talking to Eri. Even though she never said anything back, she stayed in the box. He kept telling her stories of his training, his sensei's cat, and even his mother. "You know, my sensei once told me he met the devil at a McDonald's once. Said he worked here. Probably just some guy who messed up his order. I mean, who could imagine the devil himself working part-time at a fast food restaurant?" Excuse me, sir." Izuku looked and saw a man in a cheap suit with a scar across his bald head. "I'm so sorry that my girl caused you so many problems. If you don't mind, I would like to take her home." Izuku gave him a deadpan stare. Along with half the restaurant. He wasn't even trying to be convincing. "Seriously, you're kidding, right?" Izuku sighed as he put some money on the table and grabbed the box with Eri in it. He could feel her shaking inside. "Miss Manager, I'm sorry for not cleaning up after myself, but something tells me I should leave now before I create a bigger mess," he said with a smile, then calmly left the restaurant. "Eri, please stay in the box. I won't let you go, but it will get a little rough," he said to Eri. "Now before we begin, are you and those men hiding behind that truck sure you guys want to do this?" The man stood there for a moment, wondering how the heck the kid knew about the others. "I knew that lie wouldn't work. Oh well," before yelling. "Get him now before he draws his sword." The moment those words left the man's mouth, several men jumped Izuku. Izuku noticed one of them controlling a chain and trying to snare him. He grabbed the chain with one hand and pulled it along with the man and smashing him into his friends, knocking several of them out with one move. Another tried from behind and with being as careful of Eri as he kicked the man into a truck. "Trust me when I say this. I don't need my sword to beat any of you," said Izuku as he vanished from their sight. Izuku quickly with one hand gave each of them a good chop on the neck, knocking each of them out. When they wake next, they would be in police custody. Eri popped her head out to look at Izuku and his handiwork. "Come on, Eri. Let's go home." "Home?" Izuku nodded as he made a dash back to the mountain. The bald, scared grunt got up and rallied the men, getting as many of them as they could into the trucks. "Come on. Move it. Move it. If we don't get her back, Overhaul is gonna kill us. Move it." He screamed at them as they sped down the highway way over the speed limit. Until suddenly the lead driver hit the brakes. "What in the hell did you stop for?" screamed the man as they stared at the driver, who began sweating bullets as he looked ahead in sheer horror. They all looked forward only to regret everything in their life. IT was back and it put a hand on the hood of their truck. "I'm sorry, but I can't let you do that." As her hands erupted in flames. "You haven't finished playing with me," screamed Nezuko as she ripped their engine out with one hand. By the time the police arrived, ever-would-be gangster had already soiled their pants and was raving about a demonic girl in pink. They should have worn the brown pants. "Hey, I'm home," yelled Izuku as he returned to the mountain. "Welcome back, I got curry cooking and masty dash." Tomo stopped as she saw Izuku with a box with a little girl inside. "Master, Izuku kidnapped a girl." "I didn't kidnap her." Yashiro walked into the kitchen. "Okay, what's going on here?" After seeing the girl, simply raised an eyebrow. "Well, this is unexpected." Sorry, sensei, I know this is unexpected but I have good reason to bring her here. She needs help. I can see that. She seems frightened half to death just by looking at us. Don't worry, cutie. We're all friends here, said Tomo as she reached to pat the girl's head. She stopped as her face twisted with horror as every single one of her instincts screamed at her to stop. She quickly backed away. What the hell? It's her quirk, said Yashiro, keeping calm. Her quirk is going out of control. Izuku, why exactly did you bring her here? I'm sorry, sir, I didn't know about her quirk. It's well. Eri tells him who brought me to you. Eri was quiet for a moment. It was Miss Nezuko. Yashiro could help but be shocked. Izuku forgot with how much his sensei tried to be stoic, that even he can be shocked. Izuku, you said, was brought to her by someone. It was her, sir. Pink Hiyori and matched the photos perfectly. Nezuko brought me to this little girl. Yashiro got up to the little girl and put his hand out. Don't, warned Eri, almost jumping out of the box. If you do, you'll die too. My curse will kill you. Yashiro gave her one of his rare smiles. Don't worry, little one. It takes a lot to kill me and I'm very familiar with curses, as he put his hand on her head. Eri was surprised when nothing happened when he petted her head. Both Izuku and Tomo knew he was doing more than just comforting the girl, and it showed as his eyes began to narrow. Tomo, make sure you make extra for dinner. Izuku, prepare an extra bedroom for Eri, as he grabbed the box with Eri. He saw Eri become scarred. Eri, I promise that I won't hurt you, but I need to make sure your quirk doesn't hurt anyone. You can make it so I don't hurt anyone anymore. I will try. As he took Eri to the medical wing of the mansion. Izuku made sure the room next to his and Tomo's were set. He even found Tomo's old pajamas. She said Eri could us. He returned to see Tomo finish dinner when Yashiro came back with a tired Eri, with no box this time. Both Izuku and Tomo wanted to ask questions when Yashiro mouthed, after dinner. The four had a peaceful dinner. Shortly after dinner, Eri fell asleep holding Izuku. Tomo took her and changed her before putting her down to bed. They looked to see a peaceful sleeping Eri in her bed before closing her door. As they went back to the living room, Yashiro let out a heavy sigh. That girl has truly experienced hell. What do you mean? Asked Izuku as Tomo brought tea. For starters, she's been killed several times. Crash. Tomo dropped a teacup. Izuku couldn't help but notice she was shaking. I'm sorry, sir, but could you repeat that? She has had a bit of a similar experience like you, Tomo. Tomo put everything down as she took a deep breath. Okay, I'm good. Please continue, master, she said, forcing herself from shaking. Izuku grabbed the teapot and poured everyone a cup. Yashiro took a drink before he began retelling his experience of the child's past. When I was putting her quirk under control, I took a peek into her mind and into her memories. For starters, some way her parents were related to a villain, a Yakuza member to be precise. When her quirk activated, revealing it to be some sort of quirk that could rewind an organic being to a previous state. I believe one of the Yakuza members then gave her a quirk enhancement drag, thinking it will give him some sort of fountain of youth. In the end, it made her quirk go out of control. She undid the man into nothing. After that, she was taken by the head of the Yakuza. That's when the nightmare began. Calling it torture would be too easy. They discovered her blood holds her quirk. The blood has been key to their quirk enhancement drags. It increased their performance tenfold. By continually studying it, they learned how to use it, suppress quirks, and even how to eliminate quirks entirely from someone. Some much from her blood. Yashiro grew angry. To get this much blood, the head of the Yakuza used his quirk to literally turn her entire body into blood. Then used it again to turn her back. His quirk allows him to deconstruct and reconstruct anything, even people. He deconstructed her and reconstructed her over and over again. Yashiro stopped there to let the information sink in. Both Izuku and Tomo were in shock that slowly turned into anger. Izuku began to wonder what type of twisted monster could do this to a little girl, while Tomo was just wondering where she could find him and spill his guts. Yashiro could see in Tomo's eyes as several painful memories came back to her. He could tell whoever did this was now at the very top of her kill-on-sight list. Luckily, he wasn't the only one to see. Tomo! She looked up to see Izuku with a worried look in his eyes. Izuku became a good friend to her over the year. He stayed with them at the mountain. He was now like a little brother to her. She couldn't stay mad not with that worried look of his. She took a deep breath and suppressed the bad memories and reminded herself this is about the girl. Master, is Eri going to be alright? It's hard to say. Physically she will be fine after a few days of rest. Mentally she will have to live with the scars that have been given. The most we can do is help them fade so she can smile and have a bit of normal. Though her main problem that we need to solve is one that I have never seen before. What do you mean, sensei? It may even help her mentally, but the biggest problem she has is her quirk. He paused. Please explain, sensei, asked Izuku, if there's any way we can help her. I would like to help. He's right, we have to help, said Tomo, agreeing with Izuku. Don't worry, we will help her, and I was getting to that. You see, the problem with her quirk is that it has been mutated too much. I don't think the man fully understood what he was doing or even cared for that matter. You see, she is still just a child, her quirk is still developing, and the man kept destroying her and recreating her and adding drugs and whatever other chemicals they were pumping in her have changed her quirk. It mutated it, making it volatile and uncontrollable. If I had to take a guess, I would say her quirk originally reverted anything organic back to a previous form state by state, but now it rewinds at an unpredictable rate, and the raw form of her quirk in her blood is so broken down it's pulling her into several different directions. They both digested the information. So how do we help her? She is going to need several genetic quirk surgeries. I'm going to have to alter her quirk and change it into something more manageable. You can do that, Izuku said in a bit of a shock. I know how quirks were made and I've been studying them for years. How do you think I was able to get her to stop earlier? That was actually a question I had. I can explain in better detail later. For now we have to prepare. It's not going to be easy. I'm going to need several items and ingredients. Izuku, I know we agreed that you would see your mother next week, but this takes priority. So many things can go wrong with an unstable quirk like this one. I completely understand, sensei. Izuku, said Tomo, getting his attention. You're not off the hook. You're still going to go see your mother before you. She's right. First we make sure Eri is okay, then we see your mother. After that you get into UA, said Yashiro, finishing his tea and giving them a look filled with pure rage. That's when we hunt down whoever did this to Eri and show them our fury. Next time, New Morning. If you want to read this one right now, check out my username on some of the other fanfic websites. Chapter 6, New Morning. Eri, for the first time she could remember, slept peacefully. It was strange and foreign, but she liked it. She was safe. Though that didn't stop her from panicking when she awoke in an unfamiliar room. She calmed down when the memories of the previous night came to her. She didn't know what to do. They were nice to her, but the Yakuza would come looking for her. Chisaki would come, and then the nice people would die because of her. Eri then began to wrap herself in the sheets, wanting to return to her peaceful slumber. Are you still tired? I can come back later. Eri then saw Tomo looking over her with a big smile on her face. Eri didn't know what to say. She wanted to say sorry. She didn't want anyone else to die because of her. That's when another part of her decided to talk. Girl, well, it sure sounds like someone is ready for breakfast, said Tomo as she picked Eri up. Eri tensed up a little but soon relaxed to Tomo's gentle touch. How do pancakes sound? What's a pancake? Super yummy food you're going to love. They soon made their way towards the living room, where they found Yashiro watching the Izuku train in the courtyard. Good morning, Tomo, Eri, said Yashiro without taking his eyes off Izuku. Don't forget to watch your stance. You're going to lose power if you don't get a good stance for the breath of the earth techniques. Yes, sensei. Morning, said Izuku, not looking as well. Morning, said Tomo. Morning, said Eri in a small voice. Can he see us? Itchy. No, he's most likely using his other senses to tell where we are, said Tomo as they watched Izuku for a minute. Would you like to stay and watch? Eri was a little surprised. She wasn't used to getting asked what she wanted. She was honestly afraid of answering but nodded. Okay then. You can stay here with Master Yashiro while I go make breakfast, she said as she put Eri down right next to Yashiro before going to the kitchen. Eri sat there quietly watching as Izuku ran through several drills as Yashiro gave him some advice every now and then. Eri was still scared to say anything or to ask anything. She just stared at Izuku and glanced at Yashiro every minute or so. I can't give you a proper answer if you don't ask a question. Yashiro smiled at Eri. I will try to answer any questions you have to the best of my ability. What are you going to do to me? Well, with your permission, I would like to help you and give you a permanent fix to your quirk. You can help me? You can take the curse away? Yes, I can help you. I'm very familiar with quirks, and I know a way to turn your curse into a gift that you can use in any way you so desire, but I would like your blessing to do so. He said with sincerity. Eri almost couldn't believe it. It was almost too good to be true. But why would you help me? Eri, I know I might not look like it, but I've been around for a very long time. During that time I've seen people happy and I've seen people suffer. I have suffered as well as Tomo and Izuku. An old friend of mine showed me that people can be happy and that they can become better no matter what life has thrown at you. You can still turn it around. He gave me hope after I lost the only love of my life until the day he died. He still showed me the hope of life. I want to help you because I want to and because I have the power to do so. I want to give you a helping hand like my friends did for me. Eri began to think over everything Yashiro just said without really understanding it. She didn't really know what to think. A helping hand was so strange to her, and Yashiro could tell. The way she was squirming, he could tell she had barely known what kindness is. I know this might be too much for you, but believe me when I say we will help you, we will protect you. Eri looked at Yashiro and saw no lies. It calmed her enough to feel peace. She felt like she could trust these people. She knew now they wouldn't treat her like Overhaul did. They sat in silence for a little while. Do you have any other questions? What is he doing? Izuku is going through some of his breathing styles. He's trying to get better at the ones he's not good at. Breathing styles? Breathing styles are different ways to breathe. Depending on how you use the breathing style changes the way you fight and the fighting style used. It was the main form of combat used by the Demon Slayers. What's a Demon Slayer? Heroes who fought a secret battle against monsters that threatened many people. They had made many sacrifices to do so. They won in the end, but since many had no idea what they were doing, they became lost to time. I spent a good part of my life gathering and preserving their knowledge and even learning many of their techniques. I thought it was terrible that they would be forgotten, so I made it a goal that they would be remembered. So can you use the breathing as well? Somewhat. Unfortunately, I'm not exactly built for them. Though I made sure I understood it enough to pass it on to others. Like Izuku. I think he was born for it. Is he strong enough to beat the bad man? Eri said, afraid of what would happen when he shows up. By himself, I'm not sure. I've never met this Overhaul, but he won't be alone. I've already contacted several people this morning. The government already has their eyes out for him, and if I ask for backup, they will give it. Government? That's the people in charge of Japan. Asked Eri. She didn't know exactly what it was, but she knew Overhaul didn't like them. You work for them? No, I work with them. You see, years ago as technology advanced, it became harder and harder to hide, and I didn't want any of my hard work to go to waste. I thought it was high time I introduced myself to the government after I showed them the truth of the Demon Slayers and the benefits of my advanced knowledge in science and technology. They agreed to make a deal for me. They helped me keep the knowledge of old safe and help keep me hidden from others, and I would help them on certain projects that I would agree upon. I learned that I would need something to occupy my time before I went crazy with boredom. Though when quirks first started to appear, things got really busy. It's been that way for a while. Eventually I became acquainted with quite a few people of power around the world that are willing to help me, and in turn I've helped them one way or another. Eri stayed quiet after that, mainly because she had no idea how to take the information. Even Yashiro had to admit that was quite a bit of information for someone so young to take, but he wanted to be honest with her so he could build a bond of trust. Even though she may not be able to understand everything he was saying, she could at least tell he wasn't hiding anything. He was about to say something to make it easier to understand when Izuku finished his drills. Morning, Eri, did you sleep well? He asked. Eri nodded as her stomach growled. Sounds like someone wants breakfast. Is Tomo making food? I believe so. said Yashiro, checking the time. Though I have to say she is taking a bit longer than usual. Breakfast is ready, yelled Tomo from the dining room. Well, speak of the devil. Come, children, let's get some food, said Yashiro as he took Eri's hand and walked her to the dining room. Only to stop as he entered. What's wrong, sensei? Said Izuku as he saw it. Tomo, what is this? It's breakfast, master, said Tomo, wiping the sweat from her forehead. This is enough for an army, he said, pointing to the mountain of food on the table. Or Godzilla. Izuku could only stare at it. There's pancakes, waffles, omelets, bacon and eggs. So much more. I don't even know if we can eat all of this. I'm sorry. I wanted Eri's first breakfast to be special, so I just started cooking and kinda didn't stop. Tomo, said Yashiro, pinching the bridge of his nose as he was lost for words. Oh, come now, sensei, at least we now have enough here to find something Eri would like. Right, Eri? Eri? Munch. The three look over to see Eri at the corner of the table eating an apple from the fruit bowl. It would seem that our new friend's hunger has gotten to her. Said Yashiro, come on. This food isn't going to eat itself. To say overhaul was said would be an understatement. First he lost Eri when one of his men dropped her when he apparently saw some sort of demon girl in pink. Still trying to figure out what that was. The brat known as Demon Slayer took Eri and with little effort beat several of his men who were now arrested. Overhaul tried to bribe the officers to let them go when the government stepped in. That was a very unpleasant surprise, and before he knew it this morning 3 of the Yakuza branches were hit. Not by the heroes or the cops but a special ops unit from the frickin' military. Why the hell would the military be after him? They barely do anything domestic nowadays, they're only really called in for international conflicts or a supervillain goes apocalyptic. One of them even tried to jump him while he was out looking for Eri. He even needed to dirty his hand with one of their filthy, disgusting blood. Why the hell were they going after him now? They weren't even using warrants or even trying to arrest them. It was like they were ordered to kill on sight. None of this made any goddamn sense to him. He hasn't even told others about his overall plans, he hasn't even perfected the formula, yet they were treating him like a global terrorist. Chisaki couldn't help but wonder. He was currently deep in the depths of the Yakuza's lair, currently cleaning his mask and washing his hands as they still felt dirty. When his right hand Kronos came in. Overhaul, one of the guys who was able to get away from those military guys, has returned. Overhaul kept his eyes on his cleaning. He wasn't followed, was he? Kronos then put a letter down on the table. And no, he was actually saved by another group of villains. Overhaul knew Kronos long enough to know he wasn't joking. He put his rag down and picked up the letter and began to read it. The League of Villains? I've never heard of them. Neither have I. They seem to be new and it appears they know a thing or two about this Demon Slayer kid and what to do about it. Overhaul put the letter down. So they want our help and it seems they want to talk to us as well. Would you like to give them the usual response? Meaning to go and tell them to shove it. Chisaki thought for a moment before coming to a decision. No. Right now we aren't in a good position. We refused before because we didn't want to get absorbed or taken over. Though without Eri we can't make more quirk removal bullets, and with the military hunting us, it might benefit us from making a few friends, even getting a few new recruits to refill our ranks. Makes sense, so you want me to tell them I will help them out? Yes, but tell them I want info on that Demon Slayer brat first. Said Overhaul as he thought about the brat that has put the brakes on his operations. His anger began to reach a tipping point. I want to find that brat and turn him into a pool of blood over and over again till I get bored. Izuku was feeling great as he walked out of the bathroom, just getting done with taking a shower. Even though Yashiro's home was an old Japanese-style house, it was quite advanced with a lab and medical wing. It even had the basic household needs, but those were definitely better than anything other people had. If he didn't know Yashiro was an immortal who got bored easily, he would never believe he built all of this stuff himself. Though he did feel slightly bloated. Tomo made a lot of food, and with so many options Izuku tried a little bit of everything. Tomo is a great cook, there was no way he could deny that. Usually he would finish his plate, but this is the first time he could remember where they had leftovers. Izuku went into the living room to see Yashiro and Tomo sitting on the porch in the sun with the wooden box between them. He knew they would be there apparently when Yashiro was able to stand in the sun again after not being able to see for over 200 years. He spent a whole year just watching the sun. He still loved sitting outside in the sun. Sensei Tomo. Izuku, how was the shower? Izuku patted his stomach, great. Though I think I can wait a bit for dinner. Tomo scratched her head and apologized. You know you don't need to make so much all the time. I don't need to eat food to live, said Yashiro as he was reading something on his phone. I'll always make food for you, master. Wait, don't you get hunger, sensei? Not really. To be honest, if it wasn't for others telling me to eat, I would forget for days. All I need is to take my medicine, and with the recent improvements I've made, I only need to take it once a year. Though of course I do eat if others are offering, the rare craving or the food's too good to pass up. Tomo puffed her chest with pride. That's why I always provide the best, so you'll keep coming back for more. Izuku couldn't help but chuckle a little. Hey, where's Eri? Tomo reached into the box, moving the blanket, revealing Eri sleeping at the bottom. She fell asleep real quick after breakfast. After I put the leftovers away, she had already climbed into the box and fell asleep, so I just bought her the blanket. They couldn't help but think how cute she was. She's so peaceful when she sleeps. Though why would she go to the box to go to sleep? We have plenty of beds. It probably brings her comfort, said Yashiro. When she ran into the spirit of Nezuko, she suggested hiding in a box. It was most likely the only reason she wasn't found and was able to stay safe. Some part of her believes the box is a safe place. This reminded Izuku how he met Eri and what horrors she's lived through. Sensei, what's going to happen now with Eri? Yashiro closed his eyes as he thought about everything that needed to be done to help this girl. She's going to need surgery. Even though she's in One Piece, the villain Overhaul had used his quirk to destroy and recreate her over and over again. Though clearly it has had an effect on her quirk in more ways than one. Her quirk not only went out of control but also tried to heal her. Even when Overhaul used his quirk to repair her, her quirk was also trying to repair itself. Over time it has moved and distorted several parts of her internal organs, which lead to her quirk to go crazy even more, not to mention the drugs used to increase her blood cell count. It may not be a problem now, but as her body grows it could cause many medical issues as she gets older, so the first thing she needs is basic surgery to correct the organs, and after that we can tackle her quirk. Until then I'll simply redirect her quirk to keep it under control. Well, that shouldn't be too hard, said Tomo. We both have several years of medical practice and we can easily handle her surgery to help her out. I'm afraid it isn't that simple. The reason we were going to focus on fixing her body first is so that I can safely redirect her quirk, because it clearly can affect her physically, like self-healing and the effects on the horn. This way we can not only get rid of the buildup of her quirk but also hasten her healing process. In short, we will be working with her quirk, and can you tell me what would happen if we mixed her quirk and yours together? Tomo was silent for a moment as she looked at her hands and then to the sleeping girl. That would be a disaster. I'm sorry, Tomo, I know you want to help her, especially since you know somewhat of what she's going through, but your quirks are too risky together. One wrong move and we could create a bigger problem than the one we were already dealing with. Izuku put a comforting hand on Tomo's shoulder. So what do you need? If there's anything I can do, just say the word. Yashiro smiled. Don't worry, Izuku, you'll have plenty to do. There will be numerous things we'll need to make this work, and I'm going to need you to see some people personally. The doctors needed to make sure this surgery goes off without any problems. They are a bit stubborn. Unless you grab them in person, they won't come. Tomo raised an eyebrow at Yashiro's words. Stubborn doctors? Wait a minute. You don't mean those maniacs, do you? Tomo, they maybe have some egos, but... Egos, that's what you're going with. Okay, they're crazy. Tomo simply just gave him a deadpan stare. Okay, their bats hit crazy, but you can't deny their skill. Izuku sat there partly confused on who they were talking about, and happy Eri was still peacefully sleeping through this bit of madness. Who exactly are we talking about here? I'm only guessing here, said Tomo, but I think Master is thinking of calling a doctor called the Dissector, another one that has a flaming serpent, one that is obsessed with a perfect body, an old snail lady, and an old mountain witch that has a talking tanuki. and one that's called the dissector. You already said the dissector and the mountain which has a reindeer, not a tanuki. One thing I've learned over the years is that the most talented people in the world have the same level of crazy. The sooner we get that done, the sooner I can personally fix her quirk so the Yakuza will never use her again. Tomo seemed to accept his reasoning, but it just gave Izuku more questions. How exactly do you know these people, sensei? Around 5 years ago there was a villain attack with a quirk that allowed them to create a super plague. Though luckily he was an idiot and gave us time to get several doctors together to find a cure. I met them there, and yes, several doctors came from more than questionable backgrounds. They also know I'm hundreds of years old. What? They both yelled in surprise. As Yashiro pointed to Eri. The villain may have been an idiot, but he found out about the doctors and attacked the hospital where we were. During the attack several of the other doctors ran away, but a few of them stayed and fought. During the attack I may have lost a few limbs, so when I got back up, well, let's just say there were a few questions they wanted answered. Of course I lied about most of it. They accepted I was one of the oldest people on the planet and one of the first people to get a quirk that healed me and stunted my growth. So not only are they good, but they know who I am, so they'll help. Master, with all due respect, they're crazy. Isn't there anyone better for the job? Asked Tomo, not wanting people so unhinged near Eri. Don't worry, I'll make sure they stay in check. The government owes me, so they'll pay them off, and just in case I can call a few people in for security if needed. Said Yashiro, also thinking of what else they'll need. Though the equipment here is good, they will need an upgrade to make sure we can monitor Eri's condition and the amount of energy her quirk outputs. Looks like I'll be calling Shields a lot sooner than expected. Wait, Shields as in David Shields, All Might first sidekick, said Izuku, shaking, trying to control the hero nerd deep inside of him. He was failing. Yes, he was here yesterday before you brought Eri home. Wanted my help on a project, but he refused to tell me what it exactly is. Something to do with enhancing quirks, but that's as much he was willing to tell me. That and a personal request to check what I assume is a patient. I guess I'll need to give him a call. Yashiro began to make sure he had Shields' number as a contact before reassuring Izuku that he could get David Shields' autograph. That's when his phone began to ring. Hello. Really already? I gave you that info this morning. I see. I guess that makes sense. There's no need to apologize. I understand how this could have been a political problem. Thank you, please keep me up to date, said Yashiro as he hung up the phone and smiled at the sleeping child. The government used the info I gave them and took out several Yakuza bases. Apparently they've been paying attention to the rumors of a quirk erasing bullet and have had their eyes on the Yakuza for quite some time. When I told them about Eri, they jumped on the chance. Izuku was shocked and somewhat confused. What I thought they would only get involved if a villain was going to somehow destroy the country entirely. Surprisingly, Tomo decided to answer that question. Izuku, they were working on mass-producing a bullet that could destroy quirks. Can you imagine what would happen to the country that has relied on quirks for years if that bullet got out? It would end the country. Izuku played the scenario in his head, realizing how much damage it would do to society. That would be bad. Yashiro nodded. Indeed, but that aside, we have work to do. So we're first going to need Dash. He stopped as they heard a cute yawn as they looked to see Eri waking up in the box. Oh, good morning again, Eri. Eri stretched a little before rubbing the sleep out of her eyes. What happened? What's going on? Tomo couldn't help but smile at the cuteness of the girl. You fell asleep right after breakfast. I think a food coma would be more accurate. David Shield was currently laying down in his hotel room, just staring at the ceiling in his own failure. Weeks ago the scientist was ecstatic to learn not only was the legendary immortal doctor was real but also willing to talk to him. He had come all the way to Japan to ask for his help. He wanted his help in finding a way to increase the power of a quirk, but the immortal said no even when David said it was for a hero. He had also figured out that the immortal Yashiro had somehow unlocked the quirk to the new hero Demon Slayer, but the second he asked about it Yashiro was silent and David could tell he was making Yashiro angry. He then informed him that he's willing to help with projects that will help society as a whole and will not help any personal project without being given proper information. Even though this doctor was a secret himself, he couldn't reveal his friend's condition. In the end he had gotten nothing. He was now just waiting for his plane later tonight to take him back to Island and back to his daughter Melissa, who has been calling him over and over again. David had already deduced his assistant had told her that something had happened. There goes his phone again. Time to finally tell her he failed and would be on his way home. He picked up the phone without looking at it. "Hello Melissa, I'm Sordash." "This isn't Melissa." David immediately shot out of the bed. "Mr. Yashiro." "Hello Mr. Shield," said Yashiro. "What? Why are you calling me?" "As you know, I don't get involved with projects when there are secrets involved, but I need help. To be more precise, I need some special medical equipment to help a friend. So in turn helping me with my problem, I will take a look at your quirk project and your patients." "Really, you're willing to help?" said David, a little bit in disbelief. "Wait, patients? Yes. You are trying to make a quirk enhancement device for a hero who's injured, right? I already have an idea who it is, but I won't push just to have their medical records with you when we meet again. You can redact their names if you want. As for the second one, you'll need to either bring them with you. When you began asking me how I unlocked Izuku's quirk, that was for someone else, wasn't it? Someone who's having problems with their quirk, correct?" "Yes. The quirk enhancement device is for a hero, and the questions about the boy's quirk was for someone who has problems with their quirk." David never mentioned anything about Melissa being quirkless. He had done some research and saw that Izuku was medically stated to be quirkless. He had hoped that Yashiro could somehow give Melissa a quirk. He knew how much she had looked up to All Might and how much she wanted to be a hero. Every time she came up with some new invention, she always mentioned she wanted to see in action helping heroes, but she knew she wanted to use them herself. He knew he could have mentioned her to Yashiro, but was afraid he knew how well quirkless people were treated. He didn't know how well someone who was immortal would take helping a quirkless person. That was like asking a god to help a peasant. Little did David know Yashiro would have helped. "He's a nice guy." "Very well, then it looks like we have a deal. I'll be emailing you a list of items we are going to need. It isn't much, but I do need these quite soon, so do you think you can return exactly a week from now?" He would have to change a few meetings, but if this could help his friend, his daughter, he would make it work. "Yes, I can make that work." "Good, I'll inform all the necessary contacts on my end. I'll see you in a week." "Wait, before you go, I have a question about quirkless people." "There's no such thing as a quirkless person. Well, at least not for anyone younger than 50. It may be weak, but everyone should have a quirk now. Izuku Midoriya is proof of that," said Yashiro, hoping David would buy it. "Damn it, I had forgotten that," thought Yashiro. Nana mentioned her successor was quirkless. Did All Might tell him about One for All? David was his first sidekick, so maybe. He seems desperate to help his friend, as if he's about to do something rash. David stood there as silent tears fell from his face. As Yashiro's words filled him with hope for his daughter. David always felt he had failed his daughter when they found out she was quirkless. It had eaten him up on the inside every time he saw her looking on the computer at Heroes. If he couldn't help her, then the next best thing was to find someone who can. "I see, thank you so much." "It's fine, we'll talk more next week," said Yashiro as he hung up the phone. "He's definitely a smart one. I'm going to need to come up with some solid lies for him to get him to stop digging into the origins of quirks." David's smile keeps growing as he may have found a way to help two of the most important people in his life. Then his phone rang again. "Hello, Mr. Yashiro, did you forget something?" "Mr. Yashiro?" "No, Dad, it's me, Melissa. Are you okay? Your assistant said you were down. Did the meeting go that bad?" "Melissa. Yes, the meeting didn't go so well at first, but he just called and changed his mind." "Really, that's great, Dad. So are you two on your way back to Island?" "No, not exactly. In fact, in a week you and I will be visiting him here in Japan." "What?" "I see. Thank you, Lockrock, and congratulations on the child," said Sir Night-Eye as he hung up the phone exhausted. "Is everything all right, sir?" asked his very enthusiastic intern Mirio. Both of his sidekicks were also wondering what was going on. Ever since this morning Sir Night-Eye had been on the phone calling hero agencies all over the country, he was so busy that everyone else had become non-existent. He hadn't realized that he ran out of tea 2 hours ago. He had been sipping an empty cup for a while now. Night-Eye sighed as he collected his thoughts. I've been calling heroes across the nation regarding the sudden intervention of the military special forces. 3 days ago they began immediate raids on the Yakuza hideouts we and some other heroes have been following. Something just doesn't seem right about any of this, he said as he began to rub his forehead. I'm guessing I'm missing something here, because to me that sounds like a good thing. You need to see the bigger picture, Mirio. Bubble Girl, Senate Piter, did we get any message from any kind of official about this or even another hero agency? No sir, we've checked every hour today and yesterday and nothing. The military moved suddenly in several populated areas without notifying a single hero and without any official word from anybody. They break too many rules to count, and as far as we know they didn't deserve this level of retaliation. What incidents happened with the Yakuza 3 to 5 days ago? Bubble Girl quickly went through the computer. Nothing from any official hero agencies, but it seems that the Demon Slayer kid got into a fight with a small group of them saving a child. Demon Slayer. Night Eye had been trying to figure the boy out for months. He was wrapped up in mystery and the official reaction made it even more strange. Did he have something to do with what was going on? Night Eye began to get lost in thoughts as he stared at one of his various All Might posters. Sir? Mirio, if at any time you wish to switch internships, I'll help find someone to take you in. Wait, what? Bubble Girl, Centipeder. The same can also go for you if at any point I cross a line that you feel uncomfortable with. Say the word and you can leave the agency. Huh. Right now the government is acting strange and somehow Demon Slayer is involved. If the government keeps withholding information and keeps us in the dark, I may be forced to start doing things off the books. This left the three in a bit of shock. Centipeder recovered first. So do you really think that is necessary? Yes. If things continue this way, but for now we will wait and keep an eye on Demon Slayer. Though for now I think it's time for me to reconnect with an old friend. Next time, old rival and new friend. If you want to read this one right now, check out my username on some of the other fanfic websites. Chapter 7, Old Rival, New Friend. Taku Utenshu had been a cab driver for years and had seen several things in his years as a cab driver, but nothing made him more nervous than his current passenger in the back of his cab. It was a girl in what he assumed was in middle school, wearing a white bandana on her head covering her long dark hair, in hunting gear from the 19th century. In today's society that wouldn't be too weird, maybe a reenactor or maybe a hero in training, but what was really making him nervous was that she was cleaning a rifle right in the back of his cab. How in the world did this kid get a gun? What should I do? It looks like an old rifle used in hunting. I have heard of people who use old flintlock rifles for hunting, so would this be grounds for me to call the cops, or is it just an antique? Well, here goes nothing. So miss, if you don't mind me asking, where exactly you headed? I'm heading to a mountain to do some hunting, she said without taking her eyes off of her rifle. Mountain? Miss, this address you gave me is nowhere near any mountain, said Taku. All he saw was nothing but fields along the highway they were currently driving on. A few trees here and there, but no mountains. No, you are going the right way. I apologize if this is a little confusing. Usually I would run the whole way there as a form of training, but I want to save my strength for the hunt, she said as she began examining her ammunition. Hunt? What exactly will you be hunting? A dangerous prey. Maybe the most dangerous. She grinned as she looked out the window. The turn is coming up, by the way. Right. Soon the cab turned down a long dirt road that ended with a group of trees. Thanks for the ride, mister. Here, keep the change. Taku took the roll of cash, which was easily double the amount the trip actually cost. He was about to protest the amount, but she had already stepped away from the cab. He watched as she disappeared into the trees. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna need to tell someone about this. The girl continued to walk until she exited the group of trees where she saw the mountain ahead of her. She began to walk up the mountain as she tried to calm herself. 6 months I've been waiting for this. I need to calm down. I've barely climbed the mountain, can't get too worked up before the hunt begins. She continued to walk up the mountain for a while until she saw her destination in sight. Mr. Yashiro's estate. She was about to enter when she heard something from behind her. On instinct, she hid herself behind a tree as she peered around it. She saw a girl around her age with blonde hair in a ponytail, in jogging attire. The blonde ran around the side path to the other side of the estate. Who's she? I don't remember a foreigner staying here. She followed her to the other side to see someone else she didn't know. Come on, Melissa, you can do it. You're almost there, cheered a little girl in a pink haiori. She had white hair and a small horn on her head. Melissa, breathing hard, tried to make a strong finish as she made it back to the starting line. She pushed herself to stay running as she passed the lap robot at the end of the path. BZZT running track completed. Melissa almost keeled over right then as she tried to catch her breath. Thanks, Aerie. Taking the water bottle from her. Taking a long drink. How does Izuku do this? He makes this look so easy, she said, clearly exhausted from her run. Even though she has progressed by leaps and bounds, it was still quite tough and threw her out of her comfort zone. She was determined to keep going. He's been doing this for a while, but you were able to shatter your previous record. Dad. Hey, sweetie, said David Shield, hugging his daughter. How have you been? Great, Dad, but what are you doing here? Not that I'm not happy to see you. Can't a father check up on his daughter? Well, of course, but you were here not too long ago. Melissa, smirked Yashiro. It's been almost 2 months since he dropped you off here. What, really? It hasn't felt that long. Time flies when you're busy. This reminded her when she first met them. 2 months ago, David and Melissa arrived and were led into the living room by Tomo, where she saw Yashiro at a small table reading some papers. Ah, David, good to see you again. David gave a small bow. Yes. It's good to see you too. I am happy to hear that you reconsidered what we discussed early, he said as he took a seat. Melissa followed her father's lead and took a seat, getting more and more confused why her father treated a kid who looked no older than her with such respect. Was he a genius or something? And who might this be? Oh, my apologies, sir. This is my daughter Melissa. Hello, she said, a little nervous. Greetings, Miss Shield. She had already said hello and was confused on what to say next. This day was getting weirder and weirder for her. First her dad takes her to Japan, then to a mountain that she could have sworn wasn't there a moment ago, and now she is sitting across the table from a strange kid. Is something wrong, miss? Huh. Oh no, just wondering when Mr. Yashiro is gonna get here? This made her on the receiving end of 2 very confused stares. Did I say something weird? Maybe I should break the ice. So, what's it like to be Mr. Yashiro's assistant? Yashiro then gave David a deadpan stare. David scratched his cheek a little out of embarrassment. I may have forgotten to mention a few things to my daughter. Yashiro let out a sigh. I guess I haven't introduced myself yet. I'm Yashiro. What, but Dad said Yashiro was a world-renowned doctor and scientist. You're my age. Melissa, I know it may be hard to believe, but Mr. Yashiro here is immortal. Melissa's eyes nearly popped out in surprise. You're immortal? No. Well, somewhat. I can die, but it will take a lot to kill me. As for my background, my quirk is regeneration. Because of that I have nearly 200 years of medical and scientific knowledge, and before you ask, I'm 223 years old. 223, she yelled in shock, before calming herself down. No way. I'm sorry, but there's no way. I've spent years studying the first cases of quirks and all scientists related to the research, and I've never heard of you or your quirk. I guess a demonstration is needed. Tomo, board please. Tomo then came through the door with a board and plastic trash bag. She set the trash bag down in front of him and the board on top, then put a knife on the board. Melissa was confused, but her father connected the dots first. Wait, you're not gonna do what I think you're gonna do, are you? Before Melissa could ask what her father meant, Yashiro lifted the knife in the air and in one fluid motion severed his free hand. Melissa yelled in horror as she saw his severed hand on the board, though her horror soon turned into shock and then into intrigue as she saw Yashiro's hand grow back in a matter of seconds. You're like a starfish. Starfish? That's a new one. So you have been alive for hundreds of years and you're a scientist to boot, said Melissa. Then why are you here? Why haven't I heard of you? Your quirk alone is groundbreaking research. Melissa, said David, raising his voice. I'm sorry, Mr. Yashiro. The reason I didn't tell my daughter much was because I know how personal it is for you. It's fine, said Yashiro, cleaning up his old hand, giving it to Tomo to be properly disposed of. Though maybe it's time I return to society. You see, Melissa, things were different back all those years ago. I went into hiding for the safety of myself and for others around me and in hopes of helping the world from the background. In doing so I have acquired knowledge that most people don't have, and said knowledge can help fix your problems. Problems? What problems? To heal All Might, of course. David too was also a little surprised but didn't really show it. So you knew then? It wasn't that hard to figure out. He has been slowing down a lot and he only works about 3 hours a day now. Honestly, if you would have just told me who it was, for we could have figured something out a week ago. Wait. Hold up, what's wrong with Uncle All Might? There was silence as David tried to think of what to tell his daughter about All Might's condition. This is when Yashiro decided it was best to be honest. All Might currently has a hole in his side. After a fight with a powerful villain, he lost half of his stomach, a bit of his spleen, and most other internal organs were shredded. He said as he handed her All Might's medical papers that David sent him. She quickly glanced at them. "Daddy," she said in a quiet voice. David gave his daughter a quick hug. "Don't worry. With Mr. Yashiro's help we'll have All Might back on his feet, better than ever," comforting his daughter. "No." David and Melissa turned to Yashiro. "What?" "I said no." "What, but you said you would help him?" yelled David, borderline hysterical. "We need him. Do you have any idea what would happen if we lost him? We need him back at full strength. I already have support gear for him. Please just heal him and make him better." "Sure." David's brain froze, not understanding where this was going at all. Melissa wasn't faring any better, but she was less frozen than her father. "I don't get it. I'm fully willing to help All Might fix up his body, but that is not what I'm saying no to." "Then what?" Yashiro grabbed his tablet and put it on the table, showing David's quirk-enhancing device. "I won't help if you want to tamper with his quirk," said Yashiro. Melissa looked over the tablet, studying the device while David was about to protest, but Yashiro beat him to it. "Let me guess, he's the symbol of peace, the #1 hero in the world. And you're gonna go on how we need him at full strength. Then let me ask you this simple question. What happens after he's dead?" This stopped David in his tracks. He was already coming up with his arguments in his head to Yashiro's response. Though nothing he had was good. "He's my best friend. He has helped so many people. I just can't imagine the world without my friend," he said somberly. "It's a sad fact of life, but one day he will be gone, and when that happens the world needs to be ready. That's what I'm trying to prepare for. That's why we should be looking towards the next generation. I'm still willing to help him heal his body. That alone should double the time he has for hero work." "Really?" "Yes, I promise. I will help him if he accepts. Though I would like to talk to him first." "Thank you," he said with a bow that Melissa followed. "Just promise me no more of this quirk enhancement business. I've seen it done before and it didn't end well." David reluctantly nodded. "Now who is your other patient? Did you bring them with you?" This perked David up. He had waited for this. "Yes, the other patient is my daughter Melissa." "Daddy, I'm fine. I'm not sick or anything. The doctors back at Island gave me a clean bill of health," she said, a little shocked. "Yashiro, you said over the phone that there weren't any quirkless people anymore, but the doctor said my daughter is quirkless. Can you prove them wrong, please?" "Okay," he said, but inwardly he was cursing himself for not thinking this was a possibility. The quirkless factor wasn't for All Might but for Melissa. Melissa quickly gathered all the information in her head on what this was about. "What are you saying, I could have a quirk?" "Of course you do," said Yashiro, not missing a beat. "I'm this far, time to dive deeper into the rabbit hole," he thought as he stood up. "Please stand up." She did so. "David, remind me, what was your quirk again?" David showed him his hands and his fingers bending in odd directions. "Bending fingers. Okay, we'll start there. Melissa, please show me your hands and arms." "Good, something I can work with," he thought as he began to examine her hands. "Melissa, what form of physical activity do you do?" "I'm not much. The most I do is a bit of lifting when I carry junk or use one of my inventions." With that information, Yashiro began moving her right arm while also measuring her pulse. If this is a medical checkup, shouldn't we do this in a doctor's office or something? Getting a little embarrassed. We do have a medical office here, but going there now would be pointless. I already got a good idea of your quirk. What, that quickly? Yelled both Shields in shock. We're home, yelled Izuku, getting their attention. The three then hear a small padding noise in the hall. They then open the hall door to see Izuku and a very excited Eri talking to Tomo. It was so fun. We ran the mountain, then to the fields and then we ran back to the peak of the mountain and ran on some fluffy clouds, said the excited child. Piggyback rides are so much fun. Yashiro walked up to them. Perfect timing. Izuku, I would like you to meet. David Shield, said Izuku, somehow materialized his notebook. You're All Might's first sidekick. He disappeared only for Yashiro to catch him by the collar of his Hiyori. You can fanboy over him later. Right now I need you to prepare the running course outside, he said, letting the fanboy go. Tomo, I need you to outfit Melissa here with some workout clothes and a heartbeat monitor. Yes, master. Oh, and if you wouldn't mind, on your way, drop these files off in my office. You can just put them on my desk next to the wisteria plant. For a split second Tomo's face was stunned before she bows. Yes, sir. Before taking Melissa to get changed. As the others made their way outside to the training grounds. No one noticed Tomo's reaction but Izuku, who made a mental note to ask his sensei later. It didn't take long for Tomo and Melissa to come outside, now sporting running top and shorts and her hair in a ponytail. Okay, so what do you want me to do now? Asked Melissa. I want you to play tag with Izuku. All of them stood there as if they were stone. Huh. Tag, that's a game, right? Asked Eri. Can I play? Not this time, Eri, smirked Yashiro as he patted her head. This game is for Izuku and Melissa, and Izuku, I don't want you going easy at all. Melissa, this will be the toughest workout yet. So without further ado, begin. Melissa was shocked by the suddenness of the situation and didn't move until Izuku poked her in the head. Hey, she complained as she tried to quickly grab him, only for him to jump several meters away within a second. Without hesitation, she chased after him. She tried several times to get close to him but could never reach him. This went on for several minutes with Melissa doing nothing but tiring herself out. David was getting worried. Izuku began to see some change in Melissa. Same with Tomo, who expected it, along with Yashiro, who was ready to move to the stage, and Eri, who was wondering what's for dinner. Tomo, begin stage, the next stage, said Yashiro. Okay, she said as a small weight disc appears in one hand and a small coin in the other hand. She raised the coin in the air as it began to glow. As the coin glowed, the ground beneath Melissa began to move. In the span of a second, a small mountain rose below Melissa. She had no chance to react as she fell down the new mountain. The most she could hear were her father's cries, but something inside her knew what to do. She used her legs and jumped off the side of the mountain and did a double backflip before making a 10-point landing. How did I? Eep, she said as Izuku crashed in front of her as he tried to catch her. Yashiro took the weight from Tomo. Melissa, think fast, as he threw the weight right at her. Without even thinking, she caught it with ease. That alone left her stunned, but when she opened her hands, she was left speechless. She had somehow bent the disc. For a moment she thought the disc was fake, but she had been working with metals for too long and could tell it was very real. Her father ran to her to make sure she was okay. Melissa, are you okay? Yeah, Dad, I'm fine. Look what I did, showing the disc. How? He said, looking at the disc before turning to Yashiro, yelling. How did you know she was going to be okay? What if she fell? May I see the weight? He asked, and Melissa silently gave him the weight before dropping right where Melissa would have fallen, only for it to bounce like a bouncy ball. Come now, she wasn't in any danger. Whenever we do something like this, I have Tomo change the ground so if anyone falls they won't get hurt. David was going to continue but was interrupted by Melissa. How did you know I had a physical quirk, or even a quirk in general? One, I've been studying quirks for hundreds of years and come to the conclusion that everyone below the age of 50 or at the least 30 must have a quirk. 2, when I was examining your hands and arms, they felt more like the hands of a gymnast than one of an inventor. Also, your ligaments didn't feel normal, or I should say now the average, than other people have. And before I get to the 3rd, I would like everyone here to check their heart. A bit confused, everyone slowly put their hands on their chest. Except for Melissa. Without thinking, she put her hand on her wrist, checking her pulse. How what? You want us to check our heartbeats, right? The best way is to check our pulse, right? Yashiro slowly took her hands. Melissa, I hate to tell you this, but you can't feel your heart. Huh? What are you talking about? She said, a little worried. I can feel your pulse right now through your hands. Can you feel the beating of your own heart in your chest right now? She couldn't. She stood there silent for a moment, trying to feel it without using her hands, but she couldn't. You just ran more than you ever had before in your life. Even though you're catching your breath right now, your heart should be beating hard enough for you to feel it. You can't. She slowly shook her head. No, but why? Yashiro let go of her hands as he put his hands on Izuku's shoulders. The third reason was when I met Izuku he was told he was quirkless, but I knew he wasn't because I had to operate on his lungs. I knew that couldn't be true. That added with my calculations of quirk progression and the fact that quirk to quirkless ratio has plateaued. It led me to a theory and discovery of what I believe to be a new gene in all of us that makes us unable to feel the part of our body that our quirk affects. In Izuku's case it was his lungs, in your case it was your heart. So the reason I didn't know I had a quirk was because I couldn't feel my heart. How come I didn't notice it before? How can anyone notice it? When you get medical checkups, doctors use a stethoscope to hear your heartbeat. When a teacher wants to show the class, they show you your pulse because your heart beats too quietly when you're not doing any physical activity. Your quirk seems to activate depending on your heart rate and blood pressure, which while is hard but not impossible to control, but even then you can't feel it. So unless someone had a quirk that could tell them or was physically checking for it, no one would know, not even you. But my toe joint. Oh, don't even get me started on that stupid joint exam, said Yashiro with annoyance. Several people with quirks have several joints in their toes. Honestly, it's the laziest way for a doctor to tell whether or not someone has a quirk. It doesn't even work, and we have 2 people right here as proof of that. If it was up to me, every doctor who uses that test would have their medical license stripped from them. While Yashiro was fuming about current medical practices, the Shields were celebrating. David was so happy. Melissa could have sworn he broke her back, but at the moment she was too happy to care. I got a quirk. I have a quirk. She kept crying into her father's chest. Yes, you do. Now you can finally follow your dreams. Thanks, Dad. I promise I'll become a hero. One the greatest in the world. I'll help you every step of the way. I'll call the gym back at I Island and we can get you started, and maybe All Might can help you get into UA. No, said Yashiro, interrupting the touching scene, getting everyone's attention. Oh, for the love of, said David, getting really sick and tired of him saying no. What is it this time? Let me rephrase that. No, that doesn't sit right with me. You see, the reason I didn't let Izuku go back home right away was 1, he was in no condition to go back. 2, I'm still considered a global government secret, which doesn't really apply to you, but 3, we don't know the extent of her quirk that directly affects her heart. Like Izuku, his abilities affect his lungs, which in both cases can be a real medical issue. Not enough to stop them from becoming heroes if they train with them. So with your permission, I would like her to stay here so I can keep an eye on her. To make sure nothing bad happens, and I can guarantee with my training I can have her ready for the UA exam in 5 months. And if it bothers you so much, you can stay here as well. We got plenty of room with state-of-the-art equipment to keep up with your work if you want. The father and daughter looked at each other, not really sure what to do. We may have to think about it. Yashiro nodded in understanding. Well, while you think about it, how about we go inside for some dinner, said Tomo. Some of us haven't had anything to eat in a while. As 2 mighty growls come from Izuku and Eri's stomachs. They all laughed as they went back inside to eat. Over the course of the meal, Melissa convinced her dad to let her stay so that she could train and become the hero she always wanted to be. While the other residents of the house had a conversation of their own. So you just messed with her heart, said Izuku, wrapping his head around what had happened. Tomo simply nodded. So when Sensei asked you to put the files next to the wisteria plant, that was code to somehow alter someone's heart. No, we keep a spare phone next to the wisteria plant that I texted instructions to while you guys weren't looking, said Yashiro. As for the whole mess with her heart a bit, I'm sure you can guess that one. Tomo's quirk right. They both nodded. Okay, I get that part, but what about the whole quirkless people don't exist thing that you said? Some of that is true. Doctors do need to look deeper for people's quirks, and I already have a few ideas how to fix that. In the meantime, we need to start getting our lies straight, cause all of this has shown me that sooner or later we all are going to have to start walking in the light. So we're not going to tell them anything. Some half-truths here and there, but for the most part no. I was willing to tell you and Eri everything because my old friends brought you to me. To be honest, I'm sure you already figured out I haven't exactly told you everything just yet. Yeah, I kinda guessed. Knowledge is a powerful thing. We need to be careful about how much we let others know about it. So I'm open to suggestions. Present. Incredible, Melissa, said David. In 2 months your stats have already exceeded those of candidates to UA who had years of training. Honestly, I didn't think you could grow this much in such a short amount of time. Melissa glowing with pride and blushing a little bit out of embarrassment. Aw geez, Dad, thanks, but the credit goes to Sensei Yashiro. If it wasn't for him, I don't think I could get this strong. Well, I won't deny my 100 years of experience did help teach you, said Yashiro while drinking his tea as he, David, Melissa, Tomo and Eri were drinking tea on the porch. But the years of teaching have taught me that students grow as fast as they are willing to learn. You're definitely determined to learn that for sure. Unbeknownst to most of them, a girl with a rifle was watching them, waiting for her prey to show. Hey guys, yelled Izuku getting back from a DLVY. I'm home. Izuku Oniai-chan, yelled Eri. Izuku, we're over here, yelled Melissa. We're having tea. Hey Mr. Shield, said Izuku running to his friends. How are you, here to this dash? As he was about to get to the porch, he ran face first into an invisible wall. Izuku, said both Melissa and Eri, as they and David stood up to check on him, only to find the wall separating them from Izuku. As Izuku was getting up, before anyone could question what was going on, he heard something. A click. Boom. As an explosion hit the invisible wall, covering the outside with smoke. Nice call on the invisible wall, Tomo, said Yusher, drinking his tea calmly. Thank you, sir. What's going on? The three screamed while wondering why they were so calm. Don't worry, she won't hurt us. She. Outside the wall, the smoke was clearing, revealing Izuku coughing slowly, getting up from the surprise attack. Wait, that attack? I know that attack. Well, said a voice. They turned to see a girl with a rifle over shoulder standing on a rock. Long time no see, Izuku Midoriya, or should I call you Demon Slayer? Yay, Ryoshi. Yay grinned. It's time for round 2, Izuku. Next time, round 2 or 3. If you want to read this one right now, check out my username on some of the other fanfic websites. Chapter 8, round 2 or 3. Wait, what are you doing? Asked a frantic Izuku, trying to get a grip on the situation. What does it look like? Said Yae, jumping down from the rock. I came here for a rematch, raising her rifle at Izuku. So come on then, let's do this. While Yae was threatening Izuku, Eri, Melissa and David were getting a little worried about the whole situation. Seeing this, Yashiro decided he should step in. Tomo, bring the wall down for a second. Tomo complied and followed her master out towards the two. Yae, it's good to see you again. Hey old man, how's it going? Not too bad, but I'd wish your surprise visit didn't scare our guests over there. Pointing to the others. Was the sneak attack really necessary? Hey, he started it, she said, pointing at Izuku. What? Before he remembered how their first fight started. That was an accident. I didn't mean to crash into you. Bull, you jumped right in and went for the kill. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. As they began arguing back and forth, Melissa tapped Tomo on the shoulder. What are they talking about, and who exactly is she? Yashiro answered. She's the daughter of my former bodyguard. They come by every now and then. Though 6 months ago the two agreed to have a friendly spar after Izuku got done with a deal I asked of him. Okay, so what happened? Tomo chuckled a little. As per usual, Izuku got into a fight with a villain and was running late. So when he rushed back, he kinda forgot to look where he was going and crashed right into Yae. She didn't take it well and began firing at him the second she stood up, said Yashiro. Though in the end Izuku won and she lost. That's when she vowed she would return to defeat him someday, and it looks like today is that day. Yashiro watched the two squabble a bit before stopping the farce. Okay, that's enough, stop both of you. Izuku and Yae immediately stopped arguing, while Yashiro was thinking how he wanted this to go. Sir, do you want me to delay dinner? Wait, said Yae, I want my rematch. Yae, the rematch can wait, said Izuku, getting a little annoyed. I'll go help set up dinner. Izuku was about to go inside and help Tomo only to be stopped by Yashiro. A dinner and a show, that sounds like a lovely idea. Sensei. Yes, cheered Yae. Oh, before I forget. She pulled out a letter, handing it to Yashiro. My dad wanted me to give this to you. Better give it to you now before we get started. Hold it, said Yashiro, putting the letter inside his kimono. Tomo set up dinner on the southern side overlooking the mountain. You two can fight on the lower side where we can watch. It's flatter with fewer trees to get in your way, and you will begin fighting at the sound of the gong. Agreed. Agreed. Izuku sighed a little. Agreed. It didn't take long for Tomo to set up dinner. Everyone was eagerly waiting for the fight to get started. Melissa and Eri were slightly worried. Tomo and Yashiro weren't worried at all, though Yashiro did make sure if things got too out of hand that Tomo would put an end to it. David, though, was curious. So, Mr. Yashiro, how good is Yae in a fight? Well, last time I saw her she was already at a pro hero level. The last time her and Izuku fought it was clearly one-sided, with Izuku beating her without really trying. So do you think he's going to win? Without a doubt, said Tomo, putting the food down. Izuku has been fighting real villains. I hate to say it, but Yae doesn't really stand a chance. This should be over quickly. I'm not so sure, said Yashiro, looking at the two ready to fight. Yae is different now. What happened to her? He thought as both fighters get ready down below. Looks like both of them are ready to fight, might as well get this started. As he walked to the edge of the hill. Are you two ready? Yes, sensei, said Izuku, hand on his sword. You know it, old man, said Yae, loading her rifle. All right then, on the sound of the gong you may begin. The fight will end if either one of you is knocked out or is unable to continue or surrender. As he walked back towards the gong. Hey Yae. No hard feelings when this is over, said Izuku, ready to get this over quickly. Just you wait. I'll show you what I can do, trying to keep her emotions in check. Yashiro was about to hit the gong when Eri asked if she could do it. Yashiro gave the mallet to the little girl, who carefully gave the gong a good hit. Jung. The second she heard the gong, Yae fired 6 rapid shots at Izuku. Izuku carefully looked at them before deflecting them. Strange, none of them looked like explosion rounds. That's what she opened with last time, he thought as he dashed forward at Yae, who launched another barrage at Izuku. Izuku quickly deflected and dodged them. He was about to use the breath of lightning to close the gap before a bullet grazed him from the side. He quickly turned to see more bullets coming at him. They're curving, as he dodged again. She's curving the bullets, said Melissa as they saw Yae fire at different angles and for the bullets in mid-air change directions and attack Izuku at different angles. Wow, she has improved. Last time she wasn't able to curve the bullets that well, said Yashiro. It's going to take more than that to beat Izuku, said Tomo. Izuku was having enough of this and made a dash at Yae once he saw an opening, and as expected she aimed her rifle right at him and fired several shots. Izuku got ready to deflect the bullets, though as his sword made contact with the bullets they turned into liquid metal before hardening around his blade. What? He yelled, forcing to lower his blade as it began to weigh a lot more. She melted the bullets, weighing down my blade. When could she do that? He quickly put his thoughts away and tried to move, only to look down and see his foot stuck to the ground with metal. When did she? Gotcha now, said Yae as she fired more rounds at him. This time the bullets had a distinctive red glow. Explosive round. Gritted Izu, breath of flame. Izuku quickly used the flame to melt the metal on his blade and foot, before using it to counter Yae's exploding bullets. Caused the area around him to be covered in smoke. Yae knew he would come out running and had her rifle pointing at the smoke ready for him to come out. She waited for him to make a move. She waited and waited until the smoke finally cleared. What? Where is he? She quickly scanned the area. He didn't dash out of the smoke from any direction and he doesn't have any ability to go underground, so, above. Izuku came down fast as she brought her rifle up to intercept, but Izuku was faster and with the tip of his sword deflected the barrel of her gun. Izuku was about to end the fight when suddenly she stepped forward and blocked Izuku's blade with her own. "What the?" said Izuku as he looked at Yae's gun, which she was using to clash and lock with Izuku's sword. It now had a blade on the bottom of the barrel that turned it into a gun blade. "Didn't see that coming, did ya?" said Yae with a cocky grin. "Well, you're not gonna see this either." Bang! As Izuku felt the kick directly to his head. Izuku barely had time to see Yae's smoking foot hitting him in the face. "Sheet, I really did underestimate her," thought Izuku as he disengaged and ran for cover. The others above stared in shock as they saw Izuku run for cover. "Wayo, how did she do that?" asked Melissa. "Was that some sort of equipment? Like a gun on the bottom of her foot?" "Like a witch?" asked Eri. "Not all witches have guns on their feet, Eri," said David, "but if I had to guess it's her quirk, isn't it?" "Yes," said Yashiro, not taking his eyes off the battlefield. "Her quirk, strange metal." Yae Ryoshi quirk, strange metal. Yae can produce a strange metal substance from her body that she can control. She can make it bounce like rubber, hard as steel, or ignite it, causing it to explode. She can even change its shape. The only problem is she can't make a lot of it at one time or else she begins to hurt herself. So she can only make small objects like bullets or a large knife. "Wait, I thought she could only produce and control only a bit of her metal at a time?" asked Tomo. "How was she able to make a large blade?" "It most likely isn't a full blade," said Yashiro. "Most likely she simply used the same amount as a knife and restructured it so it could hold an attack or two from Izuku. It would probably break with too many hits." Yashiro's guess was spot on as Yae examined her. "Gunblade. DMN, already chipping after a single attack. Looks like I can't fight him close range with this," she thought as she melted the metal back to the bottom of her gun. "Well, it looks like it's time to turn things up a notch," she said as she reached behind her to the back of her jacket. "Hey Izuku, you ready? It's time to end the warm-up." Izuku peered behind the tree to see Yae holding up several gun barrels in one hand. "'Cause I'm all fired up." Izuku was getting nervous now. "End the warm-up? What is she talking about, and since when was she this strong? She wasn't this good a few months ago." Similar thoughts were being had amongst the viewers, though all went silent as a huge blast cut through the forest. Boom! "What the?" was all Izuku could yell as he felt a massive shock wave hit him, as if a cannonball whizzed by his head. As he got up, he could see a smoldering trail of burnt trees. As he followed the trail, he saw Yae holding her rifle that now looked like the barrel had exploded itself. Where did that power come from? Thought Izuku as Yae took off the now destroyed barrel and put a new one on. "What the hell was that?" Tomo asked Tomo now, very scared for Izuku. "Did she switch guns?" "No, Tomo, that was her quirk," said Yashiro. "Those barrels must be coated on the inside with strange metal, boosting the bullet's power, though the barrels can't contain the power and break with a single shot. Hence the other barrels she has." The others had a few questions or concerns, but another huge blast broke them out of their thoughts. "Demon, he's dodging it better than I was expecting. Maybe this wasn't the best idea to open up with this so soon?" "Get those thoughts out of your head, Yae," she thought to herself, trying to keep her head in the game. "I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago," she said as she loaded the third barrel. "I'll show them all what I can do." Izuku dodged the second blast, though he could tell the shock waves were doing enough damage to his internal organs. "Okay, I need to make a move now or else those shocks alone will do me in," he thought as he made his decision and charged. Breath of lightning. As Izuku flashed head-on, Yae hesitated for a second but fired a third blast right at Izuku. Izuku saw this coming and jumped right over the shot. Yae cursed as she ejected the now useless barrel and reached for another. Izuku was about to get in, but she did something no one expected and threw her barrelless rifle at him. Izuku used his free hand to deflect the gun and used his sword to try to end this, but when he did, she used a barrel to deflect his blade and hit him in the shoulder with another. She's using her gun barrels as eskrima sticks. thought Izuku as he began a close combat bout with Yae. As they traded blows, neither was giving an inch. Izuku began using the breath of insects to get a few cuts in, while Yae began to mix in some of her blast kicks at Izuku. Okay, enough is enough, as Izuku used the breath of earth to send her back a few meters. As Yae recovered, she looked at the dents in her gun barrels. He was able to dent these. That's some power, as flowers began to appear from her hands and wrists. Yae instantly dropped her 2 gun barrels. The second she did, they were sent flying away in opposite directions. Izuku was right in front of her. She quickly unzipped her jacket, revealing a white tank top and rows of throwing knives on the inside of her jacket. She quickly threw several of them as they exploded in front of Izuku, creating a smoke screen. "No, I'm not backing away," said Izuku as he made a beeline in the direction of her discarded rifle, knowing that would be where she would be headed. Yae tried to counterattack and threw several knives at him and in his path. Though with Izuku's speed it was tedious at best. He was able to make it to the rifle. "Okay, Yae, this is over, Surin dash." Izuku was cut off as a bullet hit his hand, causing him to almost lose his sword. "Always have a back plan, Izuku," said Yae, holding up a revolver in each hand. Izuku began to move as she began to fire. He tried to dodge when suddenly all the bullets she just fired began to ricochet on the rocks and trees. Izuku quickly tried to turn and avoid them all but was unable to. "Come on, Izuku, you can do better than that. What did a black cat cross your path?" Izuku was in pain now. Each metal that covered him felt like he was getting slapped by all might. The metal made it hard for him to move, and the shock waves from early made it hard to breathe, but most importantly he was getting angry. As Yae sent another volley of bullets, Izuku used the breath of wind to send several wind blades at Yae. Yae had no choice but to dodge the condensed wind and keep firing until, click, both guns ran out of ammo. Izuku, in a flash of lightning, closed the gap but stopped when he saw what Yae did next. Yae quickly created more bullets in her cleavage and used her BRS to bounce them in the air. As she spun around, she reloaded her guns. It took Izuku and several others to process what just happened. Did she just use her melons to reload her gun?" asked Melissa, still not believing it. "I never thought I would see something like that," said David. "Have you ever seen Dash?" He stopped as he noticed Yashiro pinching the bridge of his nose and Tomo completely livid. "Out of everyone, she uses that blonde bimbo's technique." "Tomo, calm down. She's not a bimbo, she's just an idiot that loves hot springs way too much." "Who are you guys talking about?" asked Eri. "We'll tell you later. For now, let's see what happens next." They all looked down to see Yae making Izuku dance with her dual revolvers, and with her unique reloading technique, she wasn't running out of ammo anytime soon. Izuku had no choice but to use the breath of the serpent to get away. "That's twice now she forced him to retreat," said Tomo, with her anger replaced with concern. "Yae's skills with dual guns is remarkable," said Yashiro. "I haven't seen such skill in years, not since Two Hands sailed the seas." This only caused a few confused faces. She was a pirate at the dawn of quirks who was an expert at dual-wielding guns. Before they could say "oh," a huge pillar of fire cut through the air. Izuku used the fire to melt the bits of metal still on him as he stared down Yae, who was picking up her rifle. "All right, that's what I'm talking about," said Yae, putting her last barrel on her gun. "The breath of the sun. Your strongest fighting style. I got something for that." As she held up a special round that was glowing blue. "I'm at my limit physically and my quirk is pushing it. If I make any more from my arms, feet, or chest, I'm going to run the risk of tearing my skin. It's this or nothing," thought Yae as she loaded the round. "I'm running on fumes," thought Izuku. "She's pushed me farther than anyone else. My body hurts and I can feel my lungs fill with blood. If I don't get her with this attack, I'm gonna lose." "Master, we need to stop this," said Tomo now. "I think she's right," said David. "This is going too far." "I know, and I think the mountain agrees," said Yashiro, pointing behind Yae. "All right, time to end this," as Yae raised her rifle. "I agree, look out behind you," yelled Izuku. "Really, Izuku, that isn't going to dash," said Yae as the top half of a tree hit the top of her head. Though to everyone's surprise, half a tree wasn't enough to knock her down. "No, this fight isn't over," as she finally collapsed to the ground. Izuku didn't know what to do but just stared at Ye's unconscious body. It just didn't seem real with how the fight was going. Izuku didn't move until Yashiro came up to him and lightly slapped his stomach, causing him to vomit blood. "Izuku," said the others as they joined him. "Don't worry, he's just fine," said Yashiro as he went to check up on Ye. "Izuku, are you alright?" asked Melissa. Izuku could only shake his head. "But you won," said Eri, hugging his leg. "No, he didn't," said Yashiro, pulling on Ye's jacket, causing several bullets and knives to fall out. She had several more tricks up her sleeves. They maybe weren't as powerful as what she was about to hit you with, but she had way more in the gas tank than you, and her lungs aren't filling up with blood. Izuku could only hang his head in shame. Also, during the close combat exchange, she scored more hits and she was able to hit you several times with her bullets, he said, walking up to Izuku. "Though I guess we should have expected that after the superb performance she showed us, but the one thing I expected you to do was not to freeze the second you saw her chest bounce." Izuku's face instantly turned red from memory. "Well, how was I supposed to see that coming? It doesn't matter if you were expecting it or not. You shouldn't freeze just because you see a girl giggle a little," he said with a completely straight face. Izuku was still a little embarrassed about that part, but overall still hurt over his loss. "Is Ye going to be okay?" "She'll be fine. For a normal person I would say they would be out for a day, but for Ye I'd say about 3 hours. After that you can continue where you left off or start round 3, that's for you guys to decide, but for now. Tomo, take Ye to a spare room and prepare the bean tea for her and Izuku." Tomo nodded before bending down to Ye, and in a flash both of them disappeared. "Come now, Izuku, you still have dinner waiting for you." He nodded as he made his way back to the house. "Will he be okay?" asked David, staying behind with Yashiro. "He'll be fine. This is his first loss since he received training from me. He's fought villain after villain and won each time. His confidence will be bruised along with what little ego he has. Though if I were honest I'd say this was a good thing because it's far better to get a loss from a friend than it is to receive one from an enemy." "Hey," said Eri, running up to the two men. "We'll leave you behind." "We're coming, Eri." "Hey, I got a question. How did the mountain know to stop the fight?" David laughed a little at the girl. "The mountain doesn't really think. It was just a coincidence." She then looked over to Yashiro to confirm this. Though his only response was a smug smirk, David got an irritated look. "If I ask the question you're just going to give me a vague answer, aren't you? You're learning." They all went back inside and Tomo quickly brought Izuku some bean tea. Melissa then explained to her father that the beans used in the tea were actually beans made from a quirk and have super healing properties. Though since the beans take a long time to grow, Yashiro discovered a way to make them last longer by turning it into tea, which made a single bean last longer and heal several people. Though the surprising part was that it was made by a cat in a tower. While that was happening, Izuku quickly drank his tea and ate his dinner, still a little down. Though he made sure to record every part of the fight down in his notebooks. It was actually a surprising sight as he was doing this in the living room for everyone to see. No matter how many times those who have seen it before have, it still was incredible on how well he could take notes. Though Eri was happy Izuku wasn't taking the loss too hard, she still wanted to cheer him up. "Hey Tomo," she said, pulling on Tomo's kimono. "Can we have dessert?" "Of course, Eri. What would you like?" Eri quickly went to Izuku. "Izuku Oniai-chan, what do you want for dessert?" "Oh, I'm not really sure. What do you want?" Eri wanted him to say what he wanted. Milkshake. Do you want a milkshake?" "A milkshake sounds great. Tomo, I can definitely make you guys some milkshakes." "Oh wait, our blender is still broken." Melissa instantly tensed at the mention of the broken blender, which didn't go unnoticed by her father. "What happened to the blender?" "Wait, did you let Melissa into the kitchen?" he said as the words stabbed Melissa. "Yep," said Yashiro, "you could have warned us about that one." Melissa felt more stabbies. "Sorry, to be honest, we have chiefs and robots cook for us back at Island, so we never really had to use our kitchen for cooking." "Clearly. Though Eri, Izuku can take you and get you some milkshakes in the city." "Really?" said Eri, hoping this would cheer up Izuku. "Sensei?" "Izuku, I know your mind is elsewhere, but a distraction may be good for you to clear your head a little." Okay if you say so. Melissa, you want to come with? Nah, she said, recovering from the words. I think I'm going to work on my project for a bit. Okay, come on, Eri, said Izuku as he knelt down so Eri could hop on his back. When they made it to the entrance of the house, they dashed down the mountain toward the city for a sweet treat. Hey boss, the Demon Slayer kid just entered the city. Really, where is he? It looks like he just entered the mall. Alright, stay on him while I gather the others. It's time to put that brat in his place. Next time, Milkshake and Mall Chaos. If you want to read this one right now, check out my username on some of the other fanfic.